reaction to being approached by a 6'7" woman.
I'm 6'2". How tall are you?
I'm 6'7".
So
Conveniently ignoring the role that genetics and the natural course of puberty played. And think about how many men in the community surrounding the pill that is dark just happen to be short guys. From what I've seen, because short men are often discarded and rejected by women in society, they make up a disproportionate percentage of the lookism and looksmaxer community. So as you can imagine, by saying what he said about short guys,
what does a man do below 5'3"? Ladar?
What do they do, Violet?
Join the circus? Getting brutalized every day?
I didn't even enjoy life when I was 6 foot.
Do you think they should join the circus or what?
You'll find somebody.
Yeah, just have a good personality and be 5'3".
it's highly likely that he just alienated a large portion of his audience. But based on the comments I received from his stans, who probably mass reported my TikTok, even short guys are coming up with cope excuses, finding some way to justify his behavior or brush it off. What I don't understand is how anyone society would view as a manlet could continue to idolize a 19-year-old Chad and privileged tall rich kid who probably would have bullied you in high school. Let's just hope he doesn't start providing affiliate links for some sketchy limb-lengthening surgery clinic. Now, this is the part where I drop the cold, hard truth for any short or sub-5 males out there still clinging to clavicular's word like gospel, even after all the overt heightism and lookism he pushes. The brutal reality is, unless you have all the same foundational advantages he does, believing his advice will help you ascend to his level is just pure, blue-pilled cope. Looks-maxing methods will only take you so far, and some can do permanent damage. There's nothing more blue-pilled to me than looking at someone who was born with a silver spoon in their mouth, with every privilege you've never had, and somehow believing that they earned their success, that they're an inspiration, and that you feel happy for them. Maybe if you lick the boot a little harder, some of his greatness will absorb through your tongue. I just don't see the appeal in idolizing a tall, rich steroid maxer who builds wealth and fame by selling you false hope, profiting off your insecurities, and promoting methods and substances that could permanently ruin your body and your life. There is nothing more blue-pilled than falling right into the trap of helping the rich get richer at your expense. If you're interested in a deeper dive into the topic of monetizing victim blaming, I made a video called The Cult of Positivity. I'll link it in the description below. This whole mess of grifting and audience exploitation is steeped in hypocrisy, and it's about time I shine a light on it. Clavicular is a guy who, to 99% of onlookers, has it all. Attractive face, above average height, frame, money, and well-off upbringing. But that's not enough for him. He needs more, and he needs to drag others down in the process to keep himself above the waterline. And his hypocrisy comes in several forms. First off, he claims to face frequent rejection from women, but it's clear that he's swimming in a pool of validation and attention. He lives a life of pleasure, luxury, and self-affirmation.
easy. Oh, buddy.
Constantly surrounded by beautiful women, on and off stream.
You need that stuff if you want to do this consistently, but I don't, bro. I want to get off the packet. I am. We've been off for 12 hours, bro.
Bye. Yeah,
The worst day of my life, bro.
Living the influencer dream that most Zoomers only dream of and never achieve. I get that he's autistic and that makes social situations harder, but if you're truly based, you already know that it's your height and looks that matter more than anything. He tries to complain about the 1 out of 10 women who reject him so that he can relate more to his audience. But do you have any idea how many posts I've seen from guys on the autism subreddit saying how they feel bad that they can't make friends, yet they somehow always manage to have a girlfriend? I'll tell you why. It's because they're tall. And having a good face card doesn't hurt either. Most women will put up with autism from a guy they find hot. That's the brutal truth. But I can't mention hypocrisy without also talking about the nature of Clav's statement in the original clip.
Like when people under the height of 6 foot start talking, just turn your brain off. There's never a good thing that they say. Like the manlet was comical.
Now, obviously, to the manlets out there listening to that, the first thing that comes to our minds is how comfortable people are making such statements. How heightism seems like it's the last acceptable prejudice, and he would never have gotten away with saying such a thing about someone's race. And that typically would be true, which is why it was my main point. However, according to many commenters, Clav has allegedly made many racist statements as well, and his stans cheer him on for it, just like they cheer on the shaming of men under 6 foot. Which makes me wonder, are all his followers white males? Or are there people of color in their midst that just turn a blind eye to it, just like the short guys do, saying it's just a joke? I hate to break it to you, but I don't think it's a joke. I think he wants you to think it's a joke so that he can have plausible deniability. But that's how he really feels. And a lot of people take it seriously and shape their worldviews based on what he says. But to those who claim that he said the N-word, I've never heard him use the hard R personally. Let me know in the comments if you have. Also, sorry my eyes are red, it's really cold. Now, a lot of the blue pill copers on the other side of things try to convince themselves that Clav doesn't have it all that good, that we should actually feel sorry for him. For the most part, I laugh at this. Why should I, as a 29-year-old burnout who slaved away my entire 20s only to get nowhere and waste my youth away, feel sorry for a rich, famous, good-looking 19-year-old with an entire lifetime of fun ahead of him? They point to what Turkey Tom said in his video essay on Clav, which was fantastic, by the way, and I'll link it in the description, that apparently Clav is at least $50K in debt. But how is that supposed to make me feel any different about it? First of all, he made his own financial decisions that he has to live with. And second, he makes tens of thousands of dollars a month. All he has to do is cut back on spending by just 10% for 2 or 3 months, and he can pay it all off like it never existed. Yet most of us in the world of wages and normies have to spend 30 years paying off a student loan for a worthless college degree, all while teenage influencers live lives of excess set for life, never having to worry again. However, there is one aspect of life where I do pity him: the steroids. Clavicular has openly admitted to chronic steroid use starting at the age of 14. Just as he influences the young minds of the next generation, he too was influenced by those who came before him on looksmax.org. Yes, it was his decision to start using steroids without his parents' knowledge, but his mind was still developing. We can't have expected 14-year-old Clavicular to fully understand the long-term, life-altering consequences of prolonged anabolic androgen steroid use during puberty. Such consequences include hair loss, acne, gynecomastia, kidney stress, liver toxicity, psychiatric problems, dependence, cardiovascular disease, reproductive and endocrine injury, such as testicular atrophy, infertility, erectile dysfunction, and low libido, which can persist long after stopping, hypertension, blood clots, and most tragically of all, permanently stunted growth that results from the early exposure to testosterone, which causes the premature fusing of growth plates. That last side effect is pretty similar to the reason why I stopped growing at 12, which I discussed in one of my previous videos, Why I Wish I Was Shorter. Just imagine, Clavicular is already 6 feet tall. Imagine how tall he could have been if he just held off the steroid use until adulthood. He wouldn't have even had to consider height surgery. Unless, of course, he was already done growing at age 14. If any of you guys know whether Clav was already adult height by the time he started the steroids, let me know in the comments. It's still possible that at such a young age, he may have had knowledge of such side effects on an intellectual level, but his developing brain lacked the impulse control and long-term executive function to fully understand the gravity of such a decision. And for that, and the permanent consequences his decision will leave him with, he does have my pity. I just wish he would decide against promoting such a lifestyle towards the innocent minds of impressionable, desperate young men. So why is TikTok elevating the reach of someone with such a potentially dangerous influence while suppressing those who criticize him? That's a question we should all be asking. There are few things more despicable than encouraging other young people to make the same mistake you did. The only excuse I can think of is that he still lacks a complete understanding of the dangers. And if he does understand them, we have to consider the possibility that he actually wants others to make the same mistakes he did, so he can bring his male competition
Diablo
down a
4
peg.
this
Don't
year
fall
is
for the
gonna be
trap.
different. This
The
year
Endocrine
is the
Society
year
warned
when
the public
Diablo
that there
4
is no
takes
credible evidence
back
that such
the
steroids
throne,
can safely
which it never had in the
optimize
first
growth
place.
or
But
development.
it will take it
This is
back.
just
Mark
another
my
false hope
words.
sold to
Diablo
impressionable
fans
youths.
all around the
Not
world
only is
are
he steroid
rising
maxing,
up.
but he is
All
allegedly admitted to
5
using
of them.
hardcore
That's
stimulant
right.
powders to stay
Riker is
thin
literally
and drinking
3
like
of
a
those
sailor
5
to help
fans
him
at
with
this
social
point.
skills. To be quite honest, the guy reminds me of my mom. Through college in her mid-20s, she was a wild party girl, living the high life with drugs and wealthy Russian gangsters in late 80s New York City. But that life catches up to you. By her late 20s, she had developed schizophrenia and was a tired, worn-out wreck. The city chewed her up and spat her back out. And to this day, she's never recovered. Just imagine what Clav's life might look like in 10 years, when he's my age. Even if he gets surgeries to ward off the accelerated aging process, the mental and physical health issues can't just be covered up so easily. And that brings me to the interesting part. Yeah, this is where things start to get a little unsettling. About a week before Christmas, I posted my TikTok calling Clavicular out for his blatant heightism. If you swapped out under 6 feet for any other trait people can't control, like race, his career would be over. But apparently, heightism is fair game, and guys like Clav are proud to broadcast it. Thing is, he's only like 6 foot, maybe 6'2", which to most women is still seen as mid. Bro is terrified of being seen as average. Meanwhile, he's using the platform he built off luck and good looks to mock short men, even though half his audience is short. I hope he gets reincarnated as a guy my height so he can learn a lesson. Imagine thinking height gives you moral authority. I gave him a gentle ribbing, at worst. Nothing crazy, nothing worthy of retaliation. He even left a comment on the video and seemed to take it pretty well. At least he did. The video came out to a strong start, but then something strange happened. Something that's never happened before. After I announced the new video in my TikTok story, I was bombarded with messages from my closest friends and followers from around the world, all telling me that they couldn't see the new video on my page. It was invisible. So I started to ask questions and discovered that there was a pattern. The video was only visible to people within the United States. Not even Canadians could see it. I was robbed of my hard work. I have spent thousands of hours building this account, and this was the first time ever that I've had a TikTok video be hidden to international audiences, and I couldn't find an explanation. Could this be permanent? That's where my investigation began, and what I found would be shocking and disturbing. I checked my video insights, and that's where I found the first clue. 94% of my viewers came from the United States. The video wasn't marked ineligible for the For You page, and it didn't have any violations or copyright issues. 94% US viewers is much higher than my usual 30 to 60% US viewers, but it's still not 100%. So clearly, some international viewers could see it. But how could that be? Well, I would find out when I went to post my next video. One that was completely inoffensive and safe. What's the deal with people referring to us short guys as short kings? I mean, what is this? Opposite day or something? When I posted my short king video 2 days after my collab video, I was hoping everything would just go back to normal. But it didn't. And my audience was on high alert this time. All the same patterns emerged, but this time I was made aware that the video was visible to multiple international viewers for the first 5 minutes before disappearing. And apparently, the same thing had happened with the collab video as well. Yet another big clue. That would explain the few international viewers that the videos do have. Somehow, TikTok allowed it to stay up for a short time. That, and both videos somehow still remain visible in Sweden and possibly a few other select countries. The new question is, why is this happening to my new innocent video? Could this really be permanent? My mind raced with possibilities. With the help of my friends, we did some digging. We were able to confirm that this wasn't an age restriction. People of all ages were seeing it in the nations it was available, but no one of any age could see it in the nations that it wasn't. And the Brave browser VPN confirmed what everyone was saying. My new posts, and even some stories, are blocked outside the USA. The question is, why? My first theory was that I had been mass reported by Clavicular's fan base. Based on how many troll comments I received, I thought maybe he had directed them at me to retaliate against me. But trusted followers of mine told me that he's known for having a good attitude about stuff like this. So if I did get mass reported by his army of white knights, it would have been at their own accord. The thing is, I've been mass reported before. Usually, I'll just have a video marked as sensitive content, or ineligible for the For You page, or even taken down. And most of the time, after an appeal, everything's reversed. I have never had a mass report lead to silent suppression of all future content. Sorry, the power just went out again. So I thought, maybe TikTok just needs time to get through the reports and release my account from this temporary hold. So I decided to take a 2-week break to see if things go back to normal. And here we are, 10 days later, nothing's improved. In the meantime, I would open up support tickets with TikTok, try to find out what was going on, and make them aware of the situation. Was I really being targeted? If so, they needed to know. But even with the screenshots, optimized explanations, evidence, and my insistence that they escalate things, TikTok support continued to deny that everything was wrong. They refused to acknowledge the issue and gaslit me by trying to tell me that these were normal view fluctuations. They even closed my in-app support ticket. But another possibility crossed my mind. This could be a glitch. My cybersecurity expert friend told me that if it was a glitch, TikTok would be highly unlikely to admit it. And after scouring Reddit for any posts about this same issue, I was met with a grand total of one person bringing it up a month ago with 0 replies. So apparently, I am one of the few people on Earth facing this problem. If it was a glitch, I feel like it would be more widespread. When taking everything into consideration, along with TikTok's denial, my suspicions grew. I thought to myself, there's something bigger happening here. And that's where my friend Void Obliterator came in clutch with the biggest revelation so far. By the way, he makes hype pill content on TikTok. You guys should go follow him. Anyway, Void Obliterator had launched his own investigation into this. And apparently, I wasn't the only one to face mysterious algorithmic suppression after criticizing Clavicular on TikTok. I was made aware of a specific beef between a creator with 800K followers known as Ethan Muth, who got millions of views making a video exposing Clav for some pretty serious allegations.
I just saw the impact he was having on kids, and I had hundreds of kids reach out to me that were like, thank you for standing up to Clavicular. I saw no one was doing it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's fair, but you need to figure it out with Cookie. I'm done.
Creator with 800K followers known as Ethan Muth, who got millions of views making a video exposing Clav for some pretty serious allegations.
I just saw the impact he was having on kids, and I had hundreds of kids reach out to me that were like, thank you for standing up to Clavicular. I saw no one was doing it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's fair, but you need to figure it out with Cookie. I'm done.
Now, I'm not endorsing or verifying anything he or anyone else said about Clav. For all I know, the whole thing could be a hoax. But the point isn't Clav's accusations per se, but it's what happened to Ethan after his video went viral. For some reason, the original video is nowhere to be found, but I did find this re-upload here.
Alright guys, so I've been debating whether or not to post this for the last couple of days. The evidence was shared with me by 4 completely unrelated sources who have all chosen to stay anonymous. Here's the proof of the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. These chats that I'm about to share with you come from a private PSL Looks Maxing Discord. And these messages were from yesterday, so they're from any time past January 2025. Bobble sends a message that says, "Hot JB at my school and her boyfriend." And it's a photo of this girl who's less than 18, so I blurred her out. Clavicular then responds with, "I would, her, so hard." What the actual fuck? Clavicular's between 18 and 19 at this time, and this girl was a minor. This is a chat from another conversation between Clavicular and Bobble. Bobble says, "This girl from school is 14 JFL. Clavicular responds with, "Already a at 14.
And by the way, if there's anything supporting the idea that Clavicular is some kind of secret agent, it's this last part. So listen closely.
I also want to share with you guys something else that was pointed out to me. This comes from Clavicular's restraining order, which is publicly available. At the bottom of the restraining order, it says, "Narrative modified by Joseph Pagliaro." Joseph used to be the head bouncer at a bar that Clavicular worked at called the Chatham Squire. Joseph left the bar at one point, started working as a police officer for the Chatham Police Department. Joseph and Clavicular both follow each other on Instagram. And again, just remember, Clavicular's restraining order was modified by Joseph Pagliaro, a close friend and ex-co-worker of Clavicular, who now works for the police department. But just know, there is way more stuff, and this runs a lot deeper than the stuff I just showed you guys.
Did I hear that right, guys? Because if I understand correctly, it sounds like this guy's saying that Clavicular's got some kind of friend in the police who works for the government and helps him sweep stuff under the rug and pull a bunch of strings behind the scenes. If there's anything in that whole expose that I find suspicious, it's that. Pretty wild stuff, huh? Not only is the original video gone, but his entire original account is now privated. For some reason, he decided to start this new account, where he still gets decent views, but there's a suspicious absence of content between July and December. And while searching, I discovered a video of Ethan being pressured into apologizing to Clav and his girlfriend sometime in the middle of July.
You're young. I mean, he's a year younger than me. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know you at all. But you also didn't know me at all. And you chose to come to me out of this whole situation because I felt like you thought you were capitalizing on what your fans wanted to hear. And I didn't appreciate that because I wasn't a part of it at all. But I appreciate you saying sorry.
Yeah, no, the thing is, you could talk to me 10 times worse than her, but she's not a part of like the whole looks maxing thing. She's not desensitized. I appreciate the apology.
It doesn't sound like a meaningful.
No.
I think Ethan does mean
I think I can tell this is just a high anxiety moment.
Yeah.
And I wanted to move forward, but you took away a lot of dignity that I had, and that was not okay.
But that's not all. The accounts of other looks maxers like Drago and Cookie seem to also show some strange anomalies after even just associating with Clavicular. It seems that they all met in person sometime in July so that they could all create content together. And after that, some strange things started happening. Drago had a drop in views after showing Clav in his videos, but it seemed to only be temporary and nothing close to what I've experienced with my videos going down by 90% due to region restriction. And Cookie seems to have gotten off scot-free. However, it's not all so simple. For some reason, Cookie has the same gap in posting activity that Ethan Muth does. You guessed it, from July to December. And if you'll remember, Cookie was present with Ethan in the Clavicular apology video.
you're young. I mean, he's a year younger than me. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know you at all. But you also didn't know me at all.
It doesn't sound like a meaningful.
No.
I think Ethan does mean
Make of this information what you will, but I smell something off. And if you have any speculation on what that might be, I'd like to hear it in the comments. Just before I share my own theory, I'd like to point out the glaring hypocrisy of this situation. One simple explanation for why me and these other creators face the same problem when Clav appears in one of our videos is that Clav is an extremely controversial figure, given all the allegations and history, and that TikTok is trying to contain and suppress him as a topic. Okay, So why, then, is his 600,000 follower account allowed to literally flourish, raking in 2 to 5 million views per post with this kind of slop?
Give a fuck if you like it.
Clavicular gets to run wild and unchecked, yet me and others get punished for even just talking about him or showing him? How in the name of Pete does that make sense?
Oh, for the love of Pete!
One thing is clear, and that's that hashtag clavicular is unsafe to use on TikTok. Either TikTok has it flagged, or his army of white knights is out of control and mass reporting everyone who uses it that isn't clav. I'm not sure which possibility is more disturbing. Actually, yes, I do, and it's definitely the second. But there's one more, far stranger theory that Void Obliterator and I formulated. And I'm not saying this is true, just a possible and hopefully fictional hypothetical scenario that could potentially explain this bizarre pattern among creators who discuss clavicular. What if clavicular could be playing a character designed to influence and shape the community into something dangerous, designed to eventually attract negative press and attention, and turn public opinion further against the shadowy pill community? An agent like that would have the ability to pull strings at any social media company and request secret special actions to silence specific critics. And if so, that kind of power can go to someone's head and can potentially be abused. It would explain why he still has a flourishing TikTok account while people like me get mysteriously region locked with no explanation. Think about it. The open drug use, promoting dangerous looks maxing techniques to an audience largely composed of minors, the bad press disasters like what happened last week.
Clavicular attempted to murder a man. Here's him showing homicidal intent before the incident.
I want to kill each and every one of these guys.
In GTA.
No, I want to.
Here's the incident itself.
Try driving with this guy. Drive.
And here's him showing homicidal intent after the incident.
Is he dead? I don't know. Hopefully.
How else would someone get away with all that debauchery for this long other than being some kind of useful puppet for the elite? It's possible that the elites want to promote an illusion of hope to the masses, to keep them from laying down and rotting once they find out how hopeless life really is. So instead, the elites silence the critics of that agenda, since we threaten the cultural permeation of their false ideas. But hey, that's just a kind of creative story I made up out of this whole thing. Probably not true, just letting my paranoid imagination run wild. But what do you think? I just want to impart on everyone that for those of us who are short or genetically sub-5, don't let your desperation be exploited by someone trying to sell you a fake solution to your problem. That kind of Chad worship only further enriches those privileged few who already have everything, and at your expense. If you have any thoughts or feelings about this situation, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Don't forget to like if you liked it, to help more people see it, and share with anyone you think might enjoy it. If you like this video about clavicular, you would also like this video about this fake doomer girl YouTuber who came out as a misandrist to her primarily lonely male audience. Subscribe for more relatable content exposing dark truths with brutal stories and based perspectives.
So Tyson Foods in Nebraska, Lexington, just laid off 3,200 people. This just happened like a few days ago. One town, one plant, 3,200 workers just gone. So Lexington, Nebraska currently has a population of 11,000. And the Tyson beef plant was apparently the biggest employer in that town. So you can imagine most of those people work there probably their entire life, which is, which is pretty insane to think about. I think my last job was like, my longest job was 2 years. But imagine 20, 25, 30, 35 years working at the same job your entire life. And then they just tell you, well, you're fired, you're laid off. That's it. It's like 25% of the town. So Tyson Foods says, yeah, they're done. They're closing down their doors. Now everybody's out of a job. So you have fathers who don't know how to feed their kids now. They're asking, well, how am I going to feed their kids? Where am I going to get the money? Everybody's stressed. They're going to the unemployment offices trying to figure out how much they're going to get, whether they can find a job. You have people in an utter panic right now. Saying basically, what are they supposed to do? What are they supposed to do? And when you have an entire town that depends on pretty much one company, it's bad. It's bad because that means they have to go to pretty much the city, or they have to go somewhere else where there are jobs. They have to leave their hometown where there are other jobs, because they don't, when you have a company that makes up 3,200 of your workers out of 11,000 people, right? In that town, what else are you supposed to do? You have no choice. You have no choice but to leave that town, and you have no choice but to relocate if you can afford to relocate. But how are you going to relocate? What money are you going to need? You need thousands upon thousands of dollars to relocate, maybe more. Like, this is no joke. So you have a bunch of people that got laid off out of nowhere. And this is why I talk about company loyalty. There is no company loyalty anymore. There's no company loyalty anymore in America, and you shouldn't be loyal to these companies. These people work. These people showed up and they worked every single day. They did the work. They did the work for the company. They did the work to feed their families. They did the work to get by. They spent decades in these companies, right? Decades. Tyson made billions off of these workers, billions of dollars. So they closed their doors. They said, well, there's no pensions, there's no severance packages, there's no nothing. You can just go get another job. That's it. And that was the end of it. So you have all these workers that are probably going to have to move out of their towns. They're going to have to find some city or somewhere else to go if they can afford the money to relocate. But let's be honest, if you work, these people that were working at the Tyson plant were most likely not getting paid enough to begin with. They were probably getting paid enough just to barely get by, because that's what these companies do. And this is why I talk about this so much, because these companies don't pay enough for you to live. These companies don't pay enough for you to relocate. These companies don't pay enough for you to start your own business, or, start a side hustle that requires you to dump a bunch of money into it. And all these people are going to have to relocate. They're going to have to relocate if they can. They're going to have to apply and find new jobs. And it's like, well, good luck in 2025 finding jobs, right? As of 2025, we've had over 1 million layoffs in 2025. What are these people going to do? Most of them are going to the unemployment. It's been the highest since the pandemic, by the way. But most of these people are going to be going to the employment office, what they're doing already right now. They're going to get unemployment, and they're going to use that unemployment until the unemployment runs out, and then they're going to be screwed. Then we're going to have more homeless people in America, as if we don't have enough homeless people in America. I see homeless people in towns in my town, which is a very, very rich town, holding up cardboard signs. It's bad when you're in a really nice town. I grew up in a really nice town despite my parents. And there's already a bunch of people homeless there. But, as we're going into 2026, really nobody's safe. I'm not safe. White collar workers are not safe. The tech people are not safe, which is what I'm studying. Programming, tech, right? Marketing, finance, like nobody's safe anymore. Customer service, you name it. Everybody's being replaced by AI. There's nobody, and the people that are not being replaced by AI are being replaced by H-1B1 visas. And that's not going away anytime soon either. So we are really at a crossroads here as to what we're supposed to do in America. Like I say before, I say pack your bags and leave. I know it's easier said than done, but you got to find a way to do it. You got to find a way to make a side hustle. Preferably something that doesn't take, a side hustle where you don't have to dump a bunch of money into it, like something online. It's the only way at this point, because this is what company loyalty gives you. Gets you 30, 35, 40 years. It doesn't fucking matter how many years you spend working for these companies. There is no company loyalty anymore. There is no working your way up the ladder to the top anymore. These people that are in these companies, that have been in these companies for 50, 60 years, like there's so much favoritism within these companies in general that the likelihood of you getting a higher paying position or chosen to get a higher, chosen to get a raise or any of the above, it's just null and void. It's non-existent. This is why I don't put in 100% effort with these employers anymore. I've talked about this before. I once had, I shit you not, I once had I had 4 interviews at this one company. It was called Rust-Oleum. I wanted to get into this Rust-Oleum company so bad. I was willing to go back for multiple rounds of interviews and wait 6 months at a time, because every single time I went back to this Rust-Oleum place, they said I didn't have enough experience, and they told me I needed to get in. We'll interview again in 6 months. So that's what I did. Every 6 months, I was working at a Medline at the time. I was trying to become a machine operator. I kept working at Medline and kept going back to interview for the same position at the same company 4 separate times, and in different locations, by the way. 3 in one location and 3 in one location and 1 in the other location. Okay. It was 1 in Kenosha. It was 3 in, it was 3 in Kenosha and 1 in Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. After years of working at Medline, by the way, as a machine operator, and being repeatedly told by this company, come back in 6 months, come back in 6 months, come back in 6 months, you still don't have an experience. They finally offered me a position, They finally offered me a position at Rust-Oleum. But you want to know how much it paid? It paid $19 an hour. I was currently at Medline, I was getting almost $22 an hour. No, I was. Lie. I was getting $22 an hour at Medline. They lowballed me so fucking hard. They gave me a $3 less than I was getting at Medline currently. And I just look at the interview, or I was just like, you're serious right now. Like, you can't be serious. You can't be serious. And I never went back after that day. Despite the offer, I couldn't do it. I declined the offer. I never went back that day. And this is why I say you can't work for these companies anymore. Company loyalty is dead. The days of working for an employer are dead. The days of moving up in a company and getting a higher paid position are dead. They really are. And most of the time, the people that get these higher paid positions they get them due to favoritism. Do you know how many fucking idiots are at work at my job right now? Do you know fucking people who are leaders? I'm not saying they're all idiots, all right? But I have leaders at my job. Leaders. I have talked about this before. They're called line leads. They run the lines, and they make sure everything's running smoothly. Everybody's working fast enough, hard enough. They're scanning the right products. They're doing the right things. But there are some of them, man, I'm telling you that it was clearly obvious that they were chosen they were chosen because they were the favorite of the managers, or they were the favorite, or they were all buddies. It's clearly obvious because some of them there do absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And the rest of us are working. I can just tell you, like last week, I was what was I doing? I was I was putting ice in the box, right? Because we're talked about, I work in a warehouse, we're packing food, the food is cold, but you still got to put ice in it because you're shipping it off to, various places around the world, right? So I was putting ice in the box on the line, and I was running out of ice fast because in the lines, we have to work fast. We have to meet the production goals. So they're always telling us to move faster, work harder, but never any bonus, never any reward for doing that, right? Oh, I take that back. Oh, you know what I got? Let me show you what I got. Huh. I did get a reward. This is what I got. Another fake fucking piece of money. Another fake $5 bill. This is what I got. This doesn't buy anything. And then what does it say on the back? Thank you for going above and beyond. Thank you for going above and beyond. Oh, thank you. No, thank you. Thank you for giving me this fake money that doesn't buy anything in the real world. Thank you so much. Guys, 2026 needs to be the year that you need to start something on your own. Not saying a side business where you have to dump a bunch of money into it. I understand completely. You really can't. People don't have the money to do that. You got to start something online. If you can teach, there are still people who don't want anything to do with AI. A lot of people are getting tired of AI. So you can use that to your advantage. Like if you know a skill or if you know another language, that's people will buy it. As long as the price isn't too high, people will pay for it, right? You can do YouTube. You can start a YouTube channel. You can start a TikTok. Back to the YouTube channel. Like I said, if you have a skill or a trade, you could teach people how. If you're a mechanic, you could teach people show people how to fix their own cars. You could show people, if you know how to weld, you could show people welding. If you know how to, build a shed or a small house or remodel a garage, any kind of skill that you have, you could make videos about that. People are watching channels and things of people who know how to build things, who know how to fix things. You know why? Because because nobody has the money to do it. Like if for example, like if you know how to fix your sink, if you know how to fix, remodel the kitchen or fix your cabinets, any of the above, you could make a video about it and you could potentially get a lot of views from that. Because in 2026, I'm going to tell you something, it's just everybody knows the AI layoffs are going to be, we're going to have more AI layoffs due to AI. We're going to have more layoffs in general in 2026 as companies start packing their bags and moving to other countries because they know America's been sucked dry. They know America's been sucked dry. And they're packing their bags and they're moving somewhere else. Because why wouldn't they move somewhere else? Somewhere else where they can get cheap labor. They can ship off all their jobs to China or another country with cheap labor. Because they know that they've sucked the resources. The corporations and the billionaires and the rich elite have sucked all the resources out of America. That's why not only are regular everyday Americans trying to move out, but billionaires and rich elites and corporations are moving their businesses overseas. Because there's no money left in the economy for them to suck out. This is why you need to be on your A game. You need to figure out something. Like I just mentioned a bunch of things that don't cost a ton of money to start up. Something that doesn't cost a ton of money to start up. Because these layoffs are going to be happening more and more. And in 2026, we haven't seen anything yet. With the cost of living, Trump's tariffs haven't fully taken effect. Jobs, like I said, are going to get more scarce. I gotta say, it's time to get down to business, guys. It's time to buckle down and figure out something, because it really is. It's going into 2026. It's going to be survival of the fittest, and only the strongest are going to survive. And I never thought I'd say that, but it's true. Only the strongest are going to survive in next year's economy. This brave new world that we're living in, this new economy. We're not going back to the pre-pandemic days where the prices were lower. We're not going back to those days. As much as people want to believe that we're not going back to those days, guys. Those days are dead and gone. This is the new economy. It's here to stay. So this is the new America, and it's not going anywhere. So I hope you guys liked this video. I kind of got off on a rant. Leave a like if you liked it. Put a comment down below, and as always, see you in the next one. Take care.
So over Christmas, I'm in the kitchen, I'm cleaning the dishes, my mom's behind me, and without realizing it, I was humming, "We are Charlie Kirk." My mom turns around, she goes, "What did you just say? We are what?" And I couldn't even explain it to her. How do you explain to someone older, "Oh, I was just humming the AI Charlie Kirk song that's been stuck in my head the past few weeks, Mom." You know, it doesn't even make sense to me. How am I supposed to explain it to her? And rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. This video isn't really about him. It's a discussion on like what is going on. Why are kids photoshopping themselves with Epstein? You know, putting Epstein in drippy Supreme North Face collabs. What's going on with the internet and our humor and where's this going? And to be honest, to talk about this, honestly, I have to say, I find myself laughing at some of this shit. And that's part of the problem, right? I can't say I'm morally above this. And that's part of the reason I'm trying to understand it. So this was something I hesitated to make a video on, to be honest. Because these jokes, some of them are dark, but I haven't seen anyone else make a video on this, and probably for a good reason. It's kind of a crazy video to make. So let's talk about it. And before we do, people like to say, oh, you know, it's just the internet. You know, the internet is not reality. And I've been thinking about that. I think it's time to accept that, yes, the internet isn't reality, but it shapes it. Every day it becomes more and more clear to me the impact the internet has on reality. So we gotta stop pretending like there's no connection. You know, the new mayor of New York City just won because he knew how to use the internet to his advantage. And he's about to move in to the mayor's mansion with, you know, his girlfriend that he met on the internet. So this idea that the internet is this separate thing that doesn't impact real life at all, just turn it off, bro. It sounds nice, but unfortunately that's a boomer take now, and we gotta move past that. If you grew up when I did, you already know the internet's always been dark, like from the very start. I don't think something has ever happened that was so bad that it was like off limits in terms of being joked about. But obviously in the past few years, it's ramped up for sure. And I'm gonna get to why, but something I try to explain to older people is like, as a generation, we are desensitized to tragedies at this point. Like, you show a boomer something tragic and they're out of commission for like a week, dude. They're just devastated. Where me, it's like, I'm sad, I'm devastated too, but I've seen what feels like every tragic event that's happened in the past, like, I don't know, 15 years because of the internet. Like, I remember being like 10 years old on the computer with my friends watching like the whole Newtown shit go down. And then another tragedy, and then another tragedy. It's like, the way I think about it, it's like if you saw a car explode every single day on the way to work, car blows up. You know, the first day you'd be like, holy shit. But then after a couple blow-ups, eventually you're going to be like, oh, the car's going to blow up again. So I think constantly seeing shit go down on the internet from a young age, it's kind of made it so when shit does go down, it doesn't cut as deep for people that are my age. And at this point, I purposefully ignore the news. Like, sad news stories, I got too much, call me selfish, I got too much on my plate to be dealing with that shit. Like, I'm always getting texted,
yo, did you see what happened to blah, 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 and they
didn't catch the shooter yet. I'm just like, yo, like at this point, keep it all away from me, dude. Every time I'm in the gym, I look up at the TV, it's like, oh, great, a helicopter crash, bunch of dead people. You know, I'm really glad that I'm informed about this now. But in a way, it's too late. Like, I've seen what I've seen. You know what I mean? And as someone who used to be a smoker, using any app that has an algorithm, with the exception of maybe YouTube, feels exactly like smoking a cig. If you start looking around, you'll notice people take scroll breaks now. I'm not even joking. Start looking for it. And an app like Twitter especially, where a lot of these jokes are born, a lot of these memes, you get that quick hit. That feels good when you light one up, when you first open it up. And when you're not doing it, you're thinking about doing it, you're like, oh, one would go crazy right now. But long term, just like smoking, that shit takes a toll. You're like, why am I even putting myself through this? It stops hitting the deeper you get into the addiction. So here's my theory. The algorithms, we already know, push and reward the crazy shit that makes us feel something. But what's required to make us feel anything these days, get a laugh out of us, get any type of emotion out of us, is getting more and more fried. Like, if you look back at the shit that we were laughing at like 10 years ago, bro, you guys remember this guy?
I just want to chill.
I mean, that's slop, yeah, but it was quality slop compared to what we got now. Now the shit that makes people go, oh shit, no way, I gotta send this to the bros, is heinous. You know, it's Epstein dripping in Supreme, or Kirk in the Avengers movie trailer. It's like our tolerance for slop is going up. It's getting sloppier out here, pause. But I am curious if other countries are dealing with this right now too, or if China and Russia are just like rubbing their hands, laughing at us as we get dumber and dumber and our humor decays. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you guys remember the Mr. Beastification of everything a few months back. This was, for me, the first taste of this. People just started slapping Mr. Beast on a bunch of random shit. It's total slop, right? It doesn't make any sense, but it was ridiculous enough. It was so stupid that it got me to press like at the time. I was like, this is insane. Send this to the bros for no reason. And that's really all this shit is. Things that don't make sense are quickly becoming the funniest things. Because what does make sense right now in this world? Like literally nothing. In a world where everything real feels like a joke, it's like the jokes need to punch a little harder. I mean, laughing at shit has always been like a way of coping. If you look at comedians, you almost have to be an ex-junkie or been through some crazy ass shit to be a good comedian. And in general, like people who have been through shit are almost always funnier than people who haven't. But on the internet, it's like we have all collectively gone through something that has never before been gone through, which is watching crazy shit constantly unfold over and over and over. So I think some of these jokes kind of represent coping with that. And I feel like we got to be honest. It's easy to put the blame on these anonymous Twitter profiles that are pumping this garbage out. But none of this would be happening without two things. The first being the algorithms that these social media companies are using to keep us addicted. And now that the new evil twin, AI and AI video generation. Like jokes have always been made, you know, like 9/11 jokes, for example, which I never liked. How long have those been going on for? But the ability now for anybody to just instantly create any visualization they want to and then share it and use the algorithm to spread it like a disease, if the blame needs to get put on anyone, I think it needs to be put on the dweebs that won't stop dropping all this technology, like as fast as they can, making billions and billions of dollars without stopping for a second to think about like the consequences. It's like, slow down. It's greed, but it's, I don't know, it's dangerous, man. Because this shit is so new and happening so fast that we're all just like along for the ride at this point. Like in a way, it kind of highlights how dumb this AI shit is. We don't need this type of technology. I'm talking about like the video image generation shit. They market it like, oh, it's going to be revolutionary. It's going to change entertainment forever. It's like, no, people are generating light skin Mr. Beast with it. You know what I mean? And now obviously what we see all over Twitter has gotten so bad that there's a name for it. It's literally called Kirk Slop. And, you know, pair that with this song, dude, this stupid ass song that I can't get out of my head, which by the way, charted on Billboard. I had to know more about that song. So I looked into it. The person in quotes who dropped these songs isn't, you know, actually a person. Obviously, it's AI. They pump out an album like every single day. I mean, they dropped an entire Charlie Kirk album, dude. So this output of this much slop is only possible because of AI. You know, they say a broken clock is right once a day or whatever. Eventually, it shat out a song that is so annoyingly, mind-bendingly catchy that I cannot get it out of my head. I'm walking around humming "We Are Charlie Kirk" in my head, dude. Like, and I'm not even someone who uses like TikTok or Instagram like that. The way I see the world now, I can pretty much put anything into one of two categories, which is like, okay, this is slop or this is not slop. And all this shit I'm talking about today is the definition of slop. It seems like every day more and more fits into that category, and the slop becomes stronger and stronger. But the good news is there is still a ton of non-slop out there, and you can put yourself at an advantage right now by not melting your brain, getting songs like these stuck in your head. So our brains are literally melting. I mean, long term, this AI shit and the consequences of it, I can't even think about for too long, or else I start bugging out. I just want to enjoy every single day for as long as I can, because in 5 years, everything will look so different. But in the short term, and this is probably dumb, because I should be more concerned with the fact that, you know, every meme that gets generated wipes out a tree or a pond or some shit somewhere in the middle of the country. But right now, my concern is comedy. Kind of dumb, I know, but I just feel like comedy is like a dying art. Our sense of humor is starting to make no sense. And like, I don't know any comedians who are funny, to be honest. Like at this point, if you guys have one, can you please drop them below? I swear I haven't found a comedian funny since like Joey Diaz 10 years ago. So, you know, Joe Rogan and his goons being the top selling comedians right now, it's just the best way to visualize how bad comedy is. And, you know, like I said earlier, this idea that the internet and reality aren't the same is outdated at this point. I was at a comedy show a few weeks ago, and this guy comes onto the stage. He starts his set off by saying, "Merry Kirkmas, everybody." And the entire crowd started geeking. So maybe the craziest thing about this, you know, I know people that were so upset about what happened. I was upset myself about watching that go down. And I'm still laughing at these memes about it. There's this thing where even if you're a fan of someone or think that these jokes are wrong and dark, you know, which they are, but they'll still make you laugh. Another example, one of my favorite artists when I was younger was this rapper named XXXTentacion. He did some terrible shit himself, but basically he was gunned down at 19 years old. And that shit to this day doesn't sit right with me, like all that talent gone. And then 6 years later, seeing people make fun of him with AI and his kid and just how cringe he was, it's like, jeez, man. And this is someone who made music that millions of people heard and felt. Like me, myself, I love this dude's music. And to this day, I can't believe that he died. But there I was laughing at one of these AI videos that was making fun of him. So that's why I don't even put the blame on the people that are liking and sharing some of these memes that are dark, because I get it. I put the blame on the people that are creating these tools that create these problems. And the truth is, the people making the jokes, like, they get pretty creative with it. Like, some of them are funny. You just have to admit when something's funny. It is crazy to think that, you know, one of these can get memes like this. Like, this has to be the only time in history where dying puts you at a higher risk of becoming a joke than surviving. You know, empathy is basically not part of any of this equation that I'm talking about today. This isn't gonna get better. Like, this is just gonna get darker. We're gonna see this happen a lot more. I think because Charlie Kirk was already all over the internet and already a meme, I mean, he was already on South Park before any of this went down. So it was like this extreme version of it. But this isn't a trend that's about to, like, stop. The things that get a reaction out of scrollers, out of us, will keep getting more and more out of pocket. There will be more of these, trust me. You know how I compared scrolling to smoking? The difference is when you stop smoking, you always have this chip on your shoulder about it. Like the thought of a drunk cig or a mango jewel pod. Oh my god, to this day, years later, that still sounds tempting to me. But the slop, you don't miss the slop. The jokes, the internet dark humor. I feel like the more I can detach myself from it, the less appealing it looks. But it is becoming more and more ingrained into reality, which means it's going to be harder to detach yourself from it. You know, I don't even use Instagram anymore. I don't even have Twitter on my phone, but I'm still seeing this stuff and I'm still humming this stupid ass song that I hate in my head. I'm finally reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, goated read, by the way, but he has this idea and it's kind of a comfortable one. I'm not gonna lie. It's like nothing you do actually matters. Like, why are you tripping about this or anxious about that? When in reality, when you die, no one is going to remember you. Even if you have this huge impact, even if you were famous as shit, like successful, in a couple generations, you will be forgotten. And it sounds dark, but to me, it's like kind of comforting to know it's like, now I do what I want type shit. You know what I mean? Like, as messed up and terrible as these jokes are, it almost makes that point even louder. You can be so famous, impact so many people's lives, and still get turned into memes, you know, into slop a bunch of years later. So there's two ways to view that. And the first is being like, what's the point of any of this? Which I don't recommend. That's a big fat spiral waiting to happen. But the other way is like, what's stopping me from doing what I want? Like, other people's opinions? It's like, no. The lion no longer concerns himself with other people's opinions because none of us will be removed. So what are we tripping about? Life is too short. You know how long I wanted to make a YouTube channel, but I never did because I was too concerned with what people would think about it. People would think I'm weird for doing that. And then one day I was just like, nah, like, I'm just gonna do it. And now I have one, and I have all you amazing people watching my videos. There's a version of me that never did this, never, you know, made that step because I was too concerned about what someone else who is a loser. Okay, I shouldn't say that, but basically what I'm trying to say is Do whatever you want. Legacy and how you're gonna be remembered. Who cares? So just spend your life doing the right thing and doing shit that you want to do. And I want to apologize for saying slop so much in this video. I think I said it way too many times. But I mean, the topic of this video, I didn't really have a choice. So let me know what you guys think about all this dark humor and the Kirkification stuff and all that. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Thank you for all the love recently. We've been going nuts. It's awesome. I'm really, I don't know. I always struggle to say thank you, but thank you so much. You guys have no idea how grateful I am every single day to have such a sick audience. So that's it for me. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Dinesh. Shalbo de brogi. Logan drill. Oh, we knew Teams. Bifana's lobby. Kiarba does. Shark. Flow hand.
Farzini Perfect Blue. Rasa.
Oh,
Daga, Pepisam serve. Perpasa Esanoy. Trophy.
Sabini Jabin. Yedamsa. Kasnoy.
Yep, Bahira.
Sidosa. Hargrip Sekalau. Kaluba.
Ogres.
Ventessa.
Rochba. Wanna fish. Am Sum. Kamer. Oh, Nalabit.
Malspanish. Loopsped. Benar. Yelskarbish. Lorenzo. Kiniko.
Shelbo. Barbo. Bempina.
Roy.
Jamba.
Managa Guma.
Gilanbush. Riva. Benu Jirbao. Rehe Vilba.
Yelskarbish. Cesare. Sharp.
Nilzia Palachava.
Yasinar.
Oh, Dad.
Mario. Tananiwa. Huh?
Chabina.
Billing.
Brinka Shalbo.
Never drink it.
Oh, my. Darno.
Wasamuya Bonds. Adunka Wallaka.
Lamina Gabo.
Kobe Ray Source.
Karasa. Yells. Bibna, Fina. Oh, please. Maybe. Oh, Pandoli Karzini. Sabine. Bobi. Babarani Charib. Pepisam serve. Pruvara. Oh,
I'm gonna get back to that story, Sonny. Just you listen to Boomer Great One. He's gonna tell you about how it was back in the olden days, back before fire, back when we walked uphill for everything. In fact, we didn't even have a concept of downhill because there was no downhill. Everything was uphill. We thought that was normal. We didn't even have a word for it because there was no alternative. It was uphill all the time. You just need to reach down and grab yourselves by your bootstraps and pull yourselves up, Sonny. But when I was your age, I bought a house for $25,000. And I made that money on my paper route and bussing tables at the local cafe. And if I could do it, you can do it too. You just need to reach down and pull yourself up and just buckle up there, buckaroo. God, I hate boomers.
My recent experience with video games is way more complicated than it should be, which is way more complicated than what is already way more complicated for those of you who are currently trying to play modern day video games, because my house got hit by lightning and it fried my Xbox One. And I wasn't all that happy with Xbox One, so I had to get a PS5. I'm not all that happy with PS5 because it's a fucking computer with a joystick and no keyboard. Gabby, you can buy a keyboard. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. And I am old. I am old. And how old are you, Cappy? I'm so old, I remember when you put in the cartridge, you turned it on and you just played. That's how old I am. I'm so old, I remember that if it didn't work, you just blow on a little bit, put it in, and would play. I'm so old, I remember when graphics mattered, right? Graphics were so crap to begin with. You could actually see a significant jump, and now it's PS4 versus PS5. Does anyone even say graphics anymore? And you dumb motherfuckers in the video game industry, you don't fucking get it. It's like every corpo, bro. All people wanted was a good product at a fair price. I was motivated to do this video for many reasons, but the straw that broke the camel's back is I played Black Flag. Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And the game is 12, 13 years old, and it just shows you how not only that the video game industry stagnated or decayed, you guys degraded, you atrophied. You're worse than you were 12 years ago, despite having way more advanced technology. And it dawned on me how much easier it was, how much more enjoyable it was, how much more fun I got out of these video games. Like, there was no frustration. Hey, listen to me, video game companies. There's the woman who viscerally wants to fuck you and puts on the lingerie and is ready to go and you don't have to ask. And then there's what you assholes are doing, which is modern day American marriage, where we got to pull and plead and beg and log in and this and that and set that up and set this up. Do you want this? Do you want that? Did you log into your account? And it dawned on me. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. For everyone alive today who likes video games, and especially for you younger kids, now you got better eyes than I do. I'll grant you that. I'll grant you that. There is no reason to play this next generation of video game consoles coming up. No reason whatsoever. There's barely a reason to play the video games they got now. All right, Expedition 33. PlayStation 4, Ghost of Tsushima. But I just finished Black Flag, and I went through my inventory of Xbox 360 video games. I got them. We're going to go over them. And I looked at this library. I'm like, God damn, man. Just so you know, I'm in the Southern Command. Like, I need something to do. So I got an Xbox 360 2-3 years ago. I don't know. I probably paid $50 for it. I have no idea. The game, well, what is this one?
Mafia, it's 15. 18. This is one of my originals. Original 10? $10? All these games are under 20 bucks. Let's just put it that way. They're all under 20 bucks. And I got hours. 30 hours on the low end out of all of them. And when I played Black Flag, despite it being so old, it was so good and so superior, even in technical aspects, to the fucking shit piss you political activists, wokey, DEI, ESG, oh my God, current popular thing, micro dick Andrew Wilson, Andrew, whatever your name is, current thing, bro. That you really want to get back at these video game companies? You want them to stop fucking you? You want them to stop screwing with you? You want to make video games great again? I say skip this generation, this upcoming one. And you all should go buy like a PS3 or an Xbox 360. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will have differing opinions. I'm aware. I would say the Xbox 360 PS3 probably has the best generational, not platform, generational library of video games. I am very aware PlayStation 2 had a phenomenal. I was there. I remember my buddies who had money could line up and afford to wait in line to go get it. These were the good times back when we were sort of thin and tattoos hadn't yet infected every woman's face. There were different times back then, boys and girls. It is so much cheaper and so much of a superior product. Rarely do you get it this good. Rarely. I got this friend, this kid friend of mine. I said, well, what's your dream car? And he said, like a 2003 era Corvette. I'm like, really? Like, do you have to have like cat high socks and be a boomer? He's like, no, that's the one he liked. I'm like, I'm not sure, but you could probably pick those up for pretty cheap in a song. We looked it up and yeah, you can. Like between 15 and 20 grand with pretty low miles. And probably have to do some seal work or something with them. I said, if you got the right one, like standard transmission and it was okay shit, I don't think it would lose value. I think it would kind of hold its own against inflation. Now, I'm not saying to invest in old classic, or I guess it is a classic now. I'm not saying go buy old cars as a means of hedging against inflation. Although, I mean, I looked and I'm like, well, I mean, but my point is the kid had a win-win-win. He's sitting on money. His favorite car is not some new, overpriced, stupid, over-engineered thing. All the boomers are dying and probably flood. That's probably why they're so cheap. All these boomers are dying. And here's the Corvette from 20 years ago. Back when Dad was getting his dick wet for the last few moments of his life, huh? And sometimes it's rare, but sometimes the economy goes your way. I mean, the stock market, but sometimes it's beneficial to you to do something. Sometimes good economic opportunities present themselves. Trust me, I'm an economist. I know what I'm doing. This is one of those times. If you're a younger person or just somebody, if you're an older person, I'm going to get to why I love this, playing these games as an older person. It is better and a lot cheaper for you to take the money. Xbox, what hole are you gonna poke in people's anuses in terms of price this time with your Xbox dingy dork or whatever it is? PlayStation 6, what are you gonna do? What's the price gonna be? $1,000? What's it gonna be? Huh? More money, bro. More money, bro. Check the number going, bro. Fuck this generation. If you want future generations of video games to come in, you got to punish these people now and make sure they never hire activists again. They never hire not the best person. They never do ESG, DEI, not only to ruin the programming ability, but in the story and the video game quality itself. You only hire the best people. So that when another 10 years go from now, well, probably not 10, let's say 6, 7, 8 years. That's about how long a console lasts, right? About 7 to 8 years, maybe 7. So 7 years from now, they take such a bloodbath on their current horseshit platform console video games coming up, which no doubt in the pipeline has a bunch of girl boss shit, leftist socialism. Oh my God, the white men are the bad guy. Oh, look out, here come the Dasher Shaniqua, the renegade soldier, whatever horseshit you got. Whatever horseshit you got coming, it falls on its face. Everyone's playing PS3 games. We're having a good old time, and you guys lose billions. And you say, maybe we should make quality video games that don't have politics in them. Do you need Bain or McKinsey or both of them to tell you that? Or I guess Bain and McKinsey got their mouths firmly affixed to the DEI dick. Maybe they can't tell you that. Why diversity and inclusion, please? And then they got another dick in the mouth. AI! DEI! What makes you think you'd be a good person here over at McKinsey Consulting? Watch this. Oh my God, hire him, promote him. Oh, you should be my boss. Go spend $300. $300 will get you a PS3, an Xbox 360, and what, $100, $200 left, 200, that's 10 games. Times 30 minutes in, 20 times 30, 600 hours. 600 hours of good fun playing time. So let me go through. This will be a trip down memory lane for you. Let me go through the ones I had, and they're really good. I kept them, and some of them I'll play down the road. So this is a series. I like this one, Crackdown. It's not the most popular game. I had a fun time with this down. Crackdown, playing Sergeant Jackson. He goes around. In this one, the cops are the good guys, and the criminals aren't being fucked by the liberal white women of Minneapolis. I know, he's a good guy. The cop's a good guy. Imagine that. It's a fun, stupid game, and I think there's 3 of them. BioShock 1 and 2, I just happen to have 2. That's a fun game. Very creepy. What is that? Oh, this one I hold from over. Borderlands 1. Outstanding. By the way, here's a perfect example of modern day fucking shit. Pritchard, you fucking fuck. Borderlands 4 was broken. It was broken. It didn't work. You have all this technology. The graphics didn't change, man. You had one job. One job. Lots of guns, lots of special effects, and lots of creatures to shoot. That's all you had to do, man. Nope. You released a broken as fuck game. I spent $70 on it, and it's no better, like, in terms of, well, it's worse than this. It's worse than, how old is Borderlands? When did this come out? Is there a date on it? Pre-owned. It was cheap back in the day, too. Tell me, was it 2K? Tell me, 2K people, how the fuck, with modern technology and no difference in the graphics, do you come up with a game that's worse than the original from 12 or 13 years ago? How? How, man? So, Borderlands 1, I like Borderlands 2. I think they got that in. And then the expansions, the pre-sequel. Here's Borderlands 2. All right. Equally good. Modern Warfare 2, a classic. This is a great one. $18. I mean, and now keep in mind, I bought this probably years ago. It might even be cheaper now. Mafia 2. Have you guys played? Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. So there's this thing called character development in this game. It's the weirdest thing. that you wokies out of California don't know how to program because none of you have friendships or real human lives or souls, and you're just virtue signaling robots who couldn't understand the concept of love and friendship and brotherhood and sacrifice. That's in you actually give a shit about the people in this video game. It's crazy. Far Cry 3. This is probably the best of the Far Cry. The other ones, I don't know. When it came out with the peaked vagina girl boss one. Now, two of my favorite video games, Battlefield Bad Company 2. I try to explain to Electronic Arts why you need to have Battlefield Bad Company come back. Because I don't know if you knew this. Character development. There's 4 guys in here. And they're great. And then you go on a journey with them on Battlefield Bad Company 1 and then Battlefield Bad Company 2. Is there a Battlefield Bad Company 3 in the mix? Of course not. Of course not. Why would there be? That would be fun. And if you were, I'm sure the next weapon they get is not some military weapon, but a strap-on. You all gotta fuck each other. Because you let some wokey activist fuck in there, right? I don't. Whatever you do, Dice, right? Dice, weren't you guys the ones? They had the Scandinavian fuck. And they're interviewing him. I think they were doing Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 5. They say, why do you have a girl missing an arm on a World War II? Or was it the black guy in World War I? Why is he up there? And oh, we did that for diversity reasons. Fuck you. We want a war game. We don't want it. You had the Harlem Regiment. That was legitimate. They put that in there. No, we did. We were good Scandinavians. Yeah, don't you know? Have you heard of this one? I don't know if you kids heard of this one. Red Dead Redemption with John Marston. Now, I don't know if there was character development in this. I don't know if it was fun. I don't remember. I don't know if the bad guys were good. Like, I mean, they were well-developed bad guys. Oh, yeah, that's right. It was. My second favorite game. This will, how long did this, what was it, like 40 hours, 50 hours of gameplay? Wait, do I got 2 of these? Battlefield Bad Company. Why do I have 2 Battlefield Bad Companies? Oh, because this one was $5. And I forgot I had it. $5. $5, you get like 30, 35 hours of gameplay on. I gotta figure which one is Ultimate Edition, Limited Edition. What's the difference? All right, I have to do that. Here's the original Battlefield Bad Company 1. This is really good. Hey, new guy. What was his name? I think his name was Joe. Oh, hey, new guy, you live. South Park, Stick of Truth. Oh, I mean, you have years, especially if you're an adult. You know, you don't have time. You're not like these modern day kids that just play video games and rub one out to the Nebraska, right? You aren't one of these, kids with the girls around their phone playing Candy Crush, and the video game industry thinks half the video game industry is girls, so we make leftist, Marxist, feminist, girl boss, horseshit, propagandist video games, right? The Stick of Truth, that was a fun one. Here we go, Assassin's Creed Black Flag. This was $15. I played, I don't know, at least 40 hours. This one I'm playing now. And this highlights one thing I love about these video games, Grand Theft Auto 5. What I love about this, among all the other video games I played, I don't remember a damn thing. Now, maybe it's because I was in my drinking days, but I think these games are so long ago, I don't remember any of them. I remember, like, occasional cutscenes and stuff, but this is the case for you older people to play these games. It's like going to be playing them brand new. I don't remember. Like the opening of Black Flag, I don't remember it. The opening of Grand Theft Auto, don't remember it. I only remember Trevor having to defend his meth lab against the Mexican cartel. I only remember that part. Everything else is brand new. And I don't know what I paid for this. Saints Row. Don't get the new one. It's a woke millennial shit fest. What they did is they imported feces. They had this big millennial feces donation where all the millennials could donate their feces, and they would sing and hold hands, and then semi trucks of feces went to California, wherever they were programming the new Saints Row, and then the video game development team of the latest Saints Row mired themselves and rolled around in the feces, and they sang the great millennial feces song. Oh, millennial feces, we are so good and creative. Let me smear it on my face. Oh my God, I hate capitalism.
Had a guy over here this morning, right? And guess what he's saying? Why are you back? You're not doing much arm work. Like your legs and everything are so much more advanced than your arms. You really should be doing a bunch of arm work. It seems like you do more. It's like but I always think it's strange when you have to look at anyone who says that they think that I do more leg volume than arm volume and say, you're completely new to my channel.
You ever wonder how these cooler companies make these super intricate thermal paste patterns on the heatsink? Well, let's go ahead and replicate that on a CPU with our secret weapon, a stencil. So this one I picked up from Corsair. On one side, it just has a little bit of adhesive so it can stick to the CPU, and on the other side, we can just apply thermal paste as normal, but spread it around so it covers all of the nooks and crannies, such that when we peel it away, we're left with that really awesome, intricate looking pattern. It looks so cool. This is how I'm assuming these cooler companies do it as well, because when you apply it onto a cooler, well, it looks just kind of how it does out of the box. You ever wonder how these cooler companies make these super
stung so bad and beaten into a pulp so bad, they're like, oh my God, let us never put video games in anyone's fun ever again. But what will the liberal white women think? How about we grow a pair of balls and tell them to fuck off? How about that? Oh, but the liberal white women won't be happy. That's better than us all getting fired. But the liberal white women will complain. So they complain. That's what they do. That's why they're called Karens. That's why our cars nag us to death and why the divorce rate is still as high as it always was and men aren't getting married anymore. Oh, wait, is it all right to tell liberal white women to shut the fuck up? Yes. Yes, it is. Unless you want to live like Minnesotans. Oh, I don't want that. Well, then maybe you should tell liberal white women and activists to shut the fuck up. But who can? What about Target? We'll let them keep Target. They can keep Target. Liberal white women need a reason to live, right? We can't just take away all their fun. They have to have something to look forward to. They can keep Target. Let them keep Target. Oh, okay. They got a lot of scented candles there. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But we're keeping them out of video games, right? Liberal white women, scented candles. They own that. That's their, and we're not going to impede upon it. Video games, that's our racket. And the two shall never twain. But what if they get bored? We tell them to shut the fuck up. Oh, okay. I think I see it now. Yeah, it's called growing a pair. Anyway, to convince you that 2 generations ago video games are worth it. These are the observations I've had. If that fine display of video game classics does not convince you, let me do this. Okay. As I said before, one, they're brand new to me because I don't remember them. They're also going to be brand new to kids because you guys are about my age, right? And some of you are old and you have kids, and your kids didn't play. They probably, what, PlayStation 4, Xbox, whatever came before one. Your kids haven't played these games, and they're so much better. So they're brand new. You don't have to wait around for a release. You don't have to pay $78 for a brand new game. It's a new game. You just don't remember it. Kind of like that girl you had sex with and you forgot her name. And you're like, wait, don't I know you? Yes, Aaron, you know me. Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember that now. For me, I didn't see any real major graphics difference. I think we're to the point where, the human eye can't discern. I know some purists, that's 180 frames or 60 frames. I don't know. When I played these, they seem pretty good to me. I could tell, all right, they're not the greatest graphics, but I didn't care. They were good enough. Black Flag is great. Grand Theft Auto, it doesn't matter, especially you get a style or a motif. Like Grand Theft Auto, just keep it the same. Borderlands, oh my God. Pitchford, buddy, you had a layup. One job, man. One job. I think graphics are totally irrelevant now. I mean, they got to have a certain standard, but I think the graphics are irrelevant. 360 and later, yeah, they're good enough. Plug and play. So let me show you what I hit the open button, right? And I take this out of the thing and I take the out of that. I put it in the tray. I push it back in. You know what it does? I just start playing. It's crazy. I'll log in. I don't have to give a blood sample. I don't have to give Bill Gates my credit card number, my social security number, my blood type, and where everybody in my family lives so he can murder them all. It's almost like the girl I showed up and she's wearing lingerie and she's got a drink in her hand. She's like, hey, do you want to have fun? It's like, wow, I don't have to negotiate or log in to have sex. I could just get to having fun. Oh my God. Put subscription service, bro. But download DLC update, bro. That's another thing I noticed is, there's no update. They had to make it perfect. They had to test the shit out of it. It just works. No politics. None. Not a single thing of politics in any of these games. 17 games, I got no politics. There's the bad guys. Why are they bad? Because they're bad? Oh, I don't like the bad guys. Yeah, they're evil. We play the good guys. Yeah, we're going to stop the bad guys. All right, let's go. Although Pirate Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, I guess we are kind of the bad guys. You're pirates on that one. But it's fun to be the bad guy, and you're fighting a corrupt governor. All right? That's what you're doing. So it was fun there. The plot, if there was one, is a good one. Grand Theft Auto 5, I was starting to play. I'm like, God, this is just like a really good movie. This is when creatives had talent, when creatives had suffered loss or had to work or struggle or strive, and weren't a bunch of pretentious asshole kids living in Bellevue, Washington, or the suburbs of L.A. Like, oh my God, I think that we should have it be a gay guy who's a lesbian, but maybe a straight guy who's a black guy, but then they're left-handed, but they're Jewish. And then we just all the bad guys are white guys, right? Oh yeah, of course. The plots are good if they exist, right? It is an excuse to have a movie and just press button as you go along. And so they actually put some thought into the plot, so you're actually invested in the plot. Battlefield Bad Company, maybe not so much. I mean, they got a plot, but it's more the guys and the exchange between them. And you could just tell, yeah, the people who wrote this were better quality writers than anyone in the past 2 generations of video games ever wrote. Fraction of the cost, as I told you before. You're not giving money to companies that hate you. You give your money to GameStop. I hope GameStop has a resurgence. Go to GameStop or your local used video game store or the pawn store. Go there. I'm not. Hang on. Who's in charge? Xbox president. Is that still the affirmative action hire? Xbox. Sarah Bond. Oh, yeah, she's still there. Yep. The gal never played any video games. And then Halo Studios. Is it still an affirmative action? Halo Studios. Pierre Hintz. Oh, new guy. Pierre Hintz. Bonnie Ross. I think Bonnie Ross. Because she had a bunch of rainbow flags in her profile, and that's real important. I know that if I want to play Halo, no, that's not it. Bonnie Ross isn't it. That wasn't the gal. Who took over Halo Studios? This is the gal. Is she 3 ago? Melissa Boone. Yeah, go look up Melissa Boone. Fuck you, Microsoft. I hate you too. Fuck you. I'm not giving money to people who hate me. I'm not giving money to people who have unfair hiring practices. I'm not giving my money to people who are not meritocratic. All of which, if you're going to be unmeritocratic and DEI and political and hate-filled, indicates your game are going to suck too. And oh my God, they do. So that's another thing. Oh, and then finally, I kind of touched on this before. It wasn't me that came up with this observation. Somebody else, and it was in the movie industry. Maybe it was Critical Drinker. They made the point like, oh, finally, they're firing people, they're laying people off, they're shelving absolute horseshit propaganda films. They're not doing the woke thing anymore. They saw Flatbutt Larson and all that just fail. And so a lot of people are like, finally, we're going to get back to good movies again. It's like, not really. And the reason why is making a movie is not like making a McDonald's burger. It takes years. And so what they got, and you kind of saw it this past year with Blackton Marvel. Blackton Marvel? Yes. Captain Marvel. No. Blackton America. That's what it was. Captain America, and they swapped it out for the other guy. They totally reshot that because it was going to be leftist horseshit. Elio, right? They had to reshoot all that because it was gay propaganda with 11-year-old boys. Great job, Disney. And then I'm pretty sure Grand Theft Auto 6, they realized, oh, shit. There is a riot. They are not tolerant. Oh, my God. Who would have thought video games and politics would have made it shit? And they keep kicking that down the road because they realize they got to expunge every woke leftist fucking trope in that game or they're going to lose. I think the development cost is pushing $600 million. Maybe it's even $1 billion. It's an insane amount of money. Ghost of Yotai is off from its original predecessor by about 20-25% because you hired a leftist actor. And just so you know, Ghost of Yotai, sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, at the end, oh my God, could you believe in Edo period Japan? 2 lesbians are raising their adopted child. That's how I want my Japanese samurai video games to end. Oh, right. And then, what was it? Ubisoft, you had the Assassin's Creed Black Guy in Japan, right? You could sell me 20s Harlem. Okay. Civil War. All right. You could. All right. Tell me more. Nope. You went to Japan in the Edo period again. Hey, it's a black samurai. Like, oh my fucking God. Oh, anyway, the whole point is that this next generation of video game consoles, if they ever get off their ass and deliver it, instead of just like an updated version of the Generation 5, the video games they have in development are either going to be horseshit, going to be canceled because they are woke leftist horseshit, or they have to be scrubbed and reprogrammed so it doesn't have woke leftist horseshit in there. I do believe Borderlands 4 also had to get rid of some of the woke leftist horseshit. I mean, it would have been great if you programmed a good video game that worked, but what do I know? I don't have an MBA in video game programming. Point is, in the pipeline and for the foreseeable future, like the next at least 2 years, the games and movies coming out are just going to be dog shit or very confusing, middle of the road, scrubbed and rewritten, botched Frankenstein jobs because they realize that the woke shit, they're not tolerating it anymore. They're not tolerating politics in their movies and video games. And so I see no reason. If PlayStation even comes out with it, it's debatable if Xbox is coming out with anything. I think their sales, well, let's take a look. Good thing you put a girl boss in charge who didn't play video games. Xbox sales down 70%. I believe it's Xbox Series XS console sales saw a massive 70% year-over-year drop in November 2025, making it the worst. I love to see you guys suffer in pain. I love seeing, when Xbox wants to get out of the video game industry, that's fine. That's fine. Go ahead, please leave. You want to be software? Go ahead, Microsoft. Go ahead, be software. I would just skip this next generation. I would go back in time 2 generations ago. Everyone go buy PS3 games or PS2 if you'd like that. Go get yourself an Xbox 360. Go get a shit ton of games on the cheap and enjoy them. Enjoy them in every way that matters, and even ways it doesn't. It's going to be a better experience than what we got now and what's coming down the pipe later, and it's going to be cheaper on top of it too. And I've had such joy and fun playing these old video games. And it's not like you're like your mom would say, oh, you got to watch this old movie, and it's like fucking some Fred Astaire dancing show. He's like, what the fuck is this? Like it sucked. Or like, oh, you really got to read this book. You got to see this thing. And it's just this horrible old timer. I'm like, yeah, I guess in 1955 when you were going through the bubonic plague or whatever point in time, this must have been real great. But this is boring. This sucks. It's not that. It's not some old timer telling you, well, I really enjoyed this game. It was called Foot in the Bag. And you take the foot, you put it in the bag. Oh, those are good times. I got you your own bag. Oh, now let's go play foot in the bag. It's not like that. These are so much better than the current games that come out now. And you can't tell like the technological difference. Oh, I'd take it every day, all the time. So there you go. If you wanted to, you can buy all your shit through my Amazon affiliate program at assholeconsulting.com/Amazon. That's assholeconsulting.com/Amazon. Go there, do all your Amazon shopping. Cyberbully, $10. Emulations of old consoles and games are growing in popularity. I think actual PS3s and Xbox 360s are starting to die due to age. PC gaming is fun, but has its flaws, and it's super expensive these days. Okay, well then, get an emulator if you'd like. However you could play these old games. It's not the console that really matters or the way you play them. It's that you play them. It's the games themselves. I would go and play these games. Just like movies, the older movies are better. The current ones are absolute herpes-gonorrhea cancer. And no, thank you. I don't need to see. What was it, G20? Where it's a 60-year-old black woman president and she saves the White House as a bat. I'm done. Just done. I'm going to go watch Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. That's what I'm going to watch. Vlad Savlik, $2. Try gaming with Linux with Steam. Yeah, I have Atham. He does that, and he's got pretty good luck with it. And I think that's my next step is if I am going to go into new video games, I will probably go get a Steam Deck. Or I will Maybe go PC gaming master race. I'm so sick of the consoles and the fucking bullshit. That's another thing. These don't require logging in, username, password. It's plug and play. I want to play the game. No, I don't want an account. Sony, didn't you require people create a Sony account one time to play a video game? And it wasn't necessary. You just want to lift everyone's data. Could you stop? It's just crazy idea. And this goes for all corporate executives. Have you thought about not treating your clients and customers like absolute dog shit? Have you thought about that? You know, kind of like wives again. Have you thought about being nice and wearing lingerie as opposed to being fat, loud, and obnoxious? These are just questions. Have you tried that? You just like her because she's nice and she cooks for you. Imagine that. Wow. Oh. Reen, our good buddy Reen, $5. You're also safe playing Eastern games. Recommend the Legend of Heroes series. It's where my name came from. And there's attractive characters still. Legend of Heroes. Okay. Reen, can you email that to me? I'm not going to remember it. Shovel Monkey, $2. Looking to play in DCS. You're MiG-15. DCS? Is that an air combat? You play a DCS, Digital Combat Simulator. Oh, you could pick a bunch of different ones. The MiG-15 would be fun. Can you do a F-86 Sabre? Here's the other thing. You go on. A friend of mine showed me Steam long ago. I'm like, oh, look at all these games. I'm not. You go to the video game store. Cappy, do you still buy your game? Yes, I do. I do. I want the physical fucking game. Fuck you. Okay, boomer. Okay, kid who just got his account hacked at Microsoft the third time and all your college fund money is gone. Reen, $5 again. You mean back in the day when it was only men designing games? Shocking. Yeah, I'll be honest. Maybe you. Well, here's another thing. A lot of people say we just need those old timer guys to program video games again, whether they're white or not. It really doesn't matter. They're not in that field anymore, right? And I don't mean they're not capable of it, but they probably moved on to other things. Like it'd be the same as asking me to go be an analyst again, or like, you know, some kind of commercial bank president. I'm like, no, no, I've moved on. My skills have atrophied. I'm not doing. We are in for there's a 90th reason to just skip the next generation. What tested and skilled developers are there to create good video games? A lot of the reason Borderlands 4 is absolute dog shit is because you didn't have hardened, battled, tested video game developers. I'm sure you had a lot of bloat and a lot of DEI and activist hires in there. But don't tell me and it's no offense to the 23-year-old kid fresh out of college, no disrespect whatsoever. But, you know, that 35-year-old guy 15 years ago who bought computers, found them in the dumpster and reprogrammed them, reset. That guy ain't there no more. Same thing with Disney. Like, you better bring back John Lasseter. Is it Lasseter? That's if they come back. You know, that generation. Look, you either fired him or you said, get out of here, white man. And well, okay, fine, we'll take our talents with us. Oh my God, what happened to our product? Have you thought about hiring more interns from marketing to cover? Yeah, I heard 8 interns from marketing with a focus on DEI, with a minor in DEI. They can replace one white dude, 43-year-old computer science programmer with 23 years experience. I heard that's the ratio. Yeah. Uber Noob, $5. Showed a girl a selfie of me and Chairman Mao. She asked, is that Japan? Oh, God, Jesus Christ. She had big cans, so I just told her she was. I hope you got to play with the cans, Uber Noob. I hope you got to play with the can. Tell him yes, it was Japan, and that Japan and China are very friendly, especially over Japan helping out in Shanghai in 1935. Uber Noob, $2. Ace Combat and racing games are good fun. Ken says hi for $5. Hello, Ken. Prince Revolver, $5. Dead Space 2, Mass Effect 2, Grand Theft Auto 4 is also. Yep, same generation. Prince Revolver, $5. My PS5 is mainly for watching movies and anime. Switch 2, Steam Deck, and my PC are for gaming. Yeah. I appreciate the handful of games I can play on PS5, mainly the Yakuza video games. But I'm not. After this, it's the PC Master Race or a Steam Deck. I am not doing Xbox or PlayStation. I'm not dealing with your fucking login username. No, it's not happening. Mike, $10. I have so many games acquired over the years on Steam. I have only bought like a few games these past few years, like Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3. Nowadays, we only get like 1 to 5 good games a year. Absolutely. Which is what I'm impressed about this library. This is just what I like and I bought. I'm sure there were other great games as well. And not really. Oh, there's some really good games still being made. Did you hear of what's it called? Expedition 33? Yeah, and name me another one. And maybe there's like 3 or 4 in the past 3 or 4, like 1 a year. So we're talking 50 hours of gameplay per year? No. Uber Noob, $2. Sleeping Dogs, Watch Dogs 1s, True Crime generally. Uber Noob, $2 again. Cappy, try out Factorio. It's a different game. All right, I will. Prince Revolver, $2. Steam is releasing a console Steam machine. Good. Oh boy. Shovel Monkey, yes, you can fly the F-86. Fantastic flight sim. Are there? Never mind. I think we've slammed on people enough today. Is there a white Karen girl boss with purple hair to tell me what to do in the flight sim? Holy Knight Vader, $5. Remember when politics and video games meant people argued who to join? NRC versus Legion and oh yeah. Or Tamrielic, Empire versus Stormclocks in Skyrim. I don't mind if the politics is in the game. Like, oh, we got to fight the evil. Like you said, am I going to go with Caesar's legions or am I going to go with the mafia? Who am I going to go? Yes. That's the fun games I want. I don't want Laura Croft without big boobs lecturing me about the male gaze. Every one of you fuck off and get cancer. There you go. All right. Just wanted to do my part to make everybody richer and have a higher standard of living and to cost all you assholes, all you leftist fucking political activist assholes in the video game. You caused your own demise. I just want to hasten it along a little bit. I hear they're hiring at the truck stop. We'll see you guys later, Toodles.
Woo, woo, woo! You idiot! Yo, we getting right into
into it. You mean to tell me you traded Matt Cardona for Zack Ryder? That's equivalent of you trading your brand new 2026 Benz for a bus pass. No, that's equivalent of you living in a big ass mansion and you trading that in to go live somewhere stuck in a shelter. That's equivalent of you hitting the Powerball. You got the winning lottery ticket and you trade that in for free store credit at WWEshop.com. Give me a break. Man, this has to go into the Guinness Book of World Records for the dumbest creative decision in the world of professional wrestling. I said this on my live. Imagine if Cody Rhodes, he left WWE, right? Because he was getting buried. He built his name. He built equity up on the underground in the indies. He helped create AEW, helped put AEW on the map. Came back as American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, WrestleMania 38. Now imagine if WrestleMania 38, Seth Rollins, then he had a mystery partner, and his name is Stardust. Cut the music off. I didn't ask you to play that stupid ass song.
My bad, Bobby.
Bro, I'm so frustrated because I'm really a fan of what Matt Cardona was doing in the indies, the indie god, putting on GCW the way he did, man. Now he's dealt the deal with the backwards booking from Mr. Paul Levesque, AKA the King of Pops, like Vince Russo said. There he goes, the King of Pops. Always chasing after a cheap pop instead of booking anything creative. Or we could call him the smooth criminal. You know, the guy that's helping TKO raise the ticket prices to high hell, pricing families out. And now with the backwards booking, he done pulled out a new dance move, the moonwalk. Moonwalking all around WWE Creative, doing everything backwards. Hey, Paul Levesque! I pray every day, every single day to the wrestling gods that you moonwalk your ass right out of WWE Creative. We're sick of this crap. Now, Matt, I tried to warn you. I don't know if you seen my live yesterday, but if you signed that new contract with the non-compete clause, man, they're gonna have you on the non-compete forever. You might as well give the name Indie God to somebody else. You're gonna be on the non-complete clause for so long. Black people, we're finally gonna get our reparations. We're finally gonna get the 40 acres and a mule we was promised hundreds of years ago. Brother, if you sign that new non-compete clause, by the time you get off, we're gonna have found a way to literally colonize Morris. Your boy Bobby Monsoon will be on a date with one of the alien BBWs from Morris eating Chick-fil-A. Bro, if you sign that new non-compete contract, what are you, 40, right? You add a zero, you'll be 400 years old before you will ever be able to compete in the independence again. And if that wasn't bad enough, we got the depressing news that Crackdown is gonna be 3 hours now. And it's like, oh my God, it's kind of like, all right, putting lipstick on a pig, then you're frustrated it didn't work. So then, instead of getting rid of the pig, you start putting some foundation, some concealer, mascara, maybe a few eyelashes on the pig, then expect for the pig to not be the stinky, smelly pig called Crackdown. And I call it Crackdown because you gotta be down with smoking crack to think this is a good show. Then you got people hitting me telling me, oh, Bobby Monsoon, this Road Dogg that booked the show. Oh, Road Dogg, I remember him. Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody else to do your job because you suck. And all jokes aside, if you ask me, Road Dogg needs to be sent to an animal shelter for the rest of his life. All dogs go to heaven except this one. Send this dog straight to hell for the stupid ass booking that's been going on lately. 3-hour SmackDowns are unbearable, and I don't know what we're gonna do, but we're gonna have to figure this out, man. This for my fellas. You know what a 3-hour SmackDown is like? It's like, say you just got with a chick, right? You took her to your bedroom, you took her down. You know you probably wasn't supposed to because she got around in the hood. She probably hit a few of the homies, but it is what it is. It was a drunk night or whatever the case may be, right? Now, say the next morning you go to the bathroom. Stop! You're getting that burning sensation, right? Crackdown is nothing but bad news! And nothing good could come out of this crap. My God, man. Oh, screw it. This WWE really thing! Crackdown! Being 3 hours is gonna help TKO get out of $3 billion of What do you think about Zack Ryder? I think it's do. Y'all think that that's fire? Does WWE really think? Having Crackdown being back at 3 hours is gonna help TKO get out of $3 billion of It ain't gonna help him get out of it. The $3 billion of This ad is brought to you by the Pirates in the chat. Go to BobbyMonsoon.com. Get your Ruthless Depression ad t-shirt. If you're sick of the BS in professional wrestling, if you're sick of the soulless billionaires taking advantage of the fans, show them you had enough. Go to BobbyMonsoon.com. Get the Ruthless Depression ad t-shirt. Then, now, and never again. The Crackdown started off with Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley. Oh my God, this segment sucked so bad. Like I always say, you can hear a mouse literally pissing on cotton. Not a single person gave a shit about this segment. The best part of this segment was Charlotte Flair said, you know what? I seen AEW Blood and Guts. I seen what these women did. Chris Statlander, Megan Bain, Willow. I'm out. She don't even want nothing to do with War Games. She tried to act like it has something to do with Rhea Ripley. No, it had everything to do with AEW Blood and Guts 5-on-5. Just like raise the bar too high. And Charlotte Flair don't want anything to do with the botch fest that we're about to get on Snort Games. On top of that, they just will not let this storyline go with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Everyone that watched me knows I hate this storyline. I literally hate it more than anything on this earth right now. Why are we beating this storyline down to the ground? Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, no one cares. Then you got The Miz versus Jey Uso. It's like, dog, WWE is slowly botching the crap out of this John Cena tournament. They have a match that meant absolutely nothing. Why is Jey Uso even winning this match? Well, I mean, we all knew he was gonna win, but why? WWE has the same redundant booking, the same crap. The fans are over it. It's nothing but bots that is enjoying matches like this. After that, you got the stupid US Open Challenge. I'm a Dragunov fan. Everyone knows that. But man, I couldn't be more disappointed at his return. Oh, the US Open Challenge, the best thing when you won it from Sami Zayn. Week after week after week after week, it's been nothing but matches with no storyline. The people have been calling you out to do the Open Challenge. He's been turning it down. Dragunov looking like a jobber, dog. The Open Challenge is an open challenge. That means when Tommaso Ciampa came out, you should have gave him the opportunity. This is so stupid. And it makes it hard for me to defend when people say, oh, that's not Dragunov, that's Jobberov. And it's like, I'm trying to defend it, but it's getting harder and harder to do every week. This dude have been back for weeks now. He won the title. He has no storyline, no character, no compelling, nothing about Dragunov right now is getting anyone excited. Then you got a segment with the MFPs, the motherfucking Pandas, Solo Sonoa, Bachelor, Jeff Nah, Hakuna Matata, with their stupid face paint on. And they got a segment with Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn, they're going back and forth. Oh, I'm cleared. Oh, I got some friends too. Then you got Shinsuke Nakamura, Ray Phoenix. Just anybody you could pick out of a hat. The feud with the MFTs. Why would we care of a 5-on-5 traditional match? That is going to be a snooze fest Friday. Then we got the ultimate snooze fest Snore Games Saturday. I'm dreading for that coming up, man, because it's like, I just know I'm not going to get anything like what I got at Blood and Guts, man. It's just disappointing. It's disheartening. It's like a train wreck waiting to happen. Then you got Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk for War Games. I'm thinking, all right, Roman Reigns, John Cena, maybe they're going to make it interesting. Nope, you got Jimmy Uso joining the war. It's like, I like Jimmy Uso too, but my God, bro, what? So who's going to be the fifth guy? Are y'all going 4-on-4? Snore Games is going to be the biggest snooze fest of the year. Then after that, you got the tournament with Zack Ryder and LA Knight. A lot of people saying it's a one-off. You know what I mean? We're not going to get Zack Ryder all the time. That was just for the tournament. Let's hope that's the case, man. But still, even so, man, I think it's so much better to just have Matt Cardona come back and just put that name over. He built so much equity in the independents as Matt Cardona. I don't understand for the life of me, why would you turn around and become Zack Ryder again? That character is buried 60 feet under, dog. LA Knight has developed so much PTSD from getting buried. He developed the 1,000-yard stare where he just stares into the abyss. He stares into the universe, doesn't even know what he's looking at. This dude doesn't know if he's in a wrestling ring, if he's at home. Look at him, man. Like, it's kind of crazy, bro. What's happening to LA Knight is crazy. But at least he beat Zack Ryder. Because I'm sure if he would have lost to Zack Ryder, yo, I guarantee that probably would have been the last time we seen LA Knight, man. After that, Jade Cargill and B-Fab, a match that meant absolutely nothing. They shouldn't even been beefing. No one knows how B-Fab even gets in the title picture. They barely put her on TV. I like B-Fab too. That's the crazy part. B-Fab is fire. We just never, ever, 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 ever see her in anything compelling. Then Michin and Jade Cargill have a few words. Jade Cargill pushes her on the ground. Michin barely tries to get her lick back. No one in their right mind thinks Michin is going to beat Jade Cargill. WWE Crackdown has a problem of having any competition for Jade Cargill. It's absolutely nobody that could come out and really give any type of Jade Cargill, to give her any type of threat. The roster on SmackDown, Crackdown, is a joke. Then after that, you got, Drew McIntyre joins the Vision. Because you got Nick Aldis. You said you could pick anybody for your team on War Games. So he goes and picks Drew McIntyre. And people saying Drew McIntyre joins the Vision, I think it's just for War Games. So War Games has Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. They beat up Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, and Cody Rhodes. Oh, man, I can't wait for War Games now. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about this. This has been, like, when you talk about blowing somebody high, Monday Night Raw was okay for me. Like I said, I put John Cena over. John Cena in Boston, he won the IC title. That was great. That's all I needed. Then Blood and Guts came on, and that was like, all right, we got a great event from Blood and Guts. And now we got Crackdown, and we get 3 hours and woo, woo, woo. This show has completely lost the plot. They don't know what they're doing. They need to cut the lights off. Just how my light just cut off here and it just messed my video up at the end. They need to shut the lights off in WWE Creative and recalibrate. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. It's Bobby Monsoon 215. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.
to fucking pull it off. So if anybody wanted to see what it's really like to have been in the territory business, bear in mind as we're picking up on April 9th, Monday, April 9th, do you know what our last day off was? The schedule we're already working before we go to the last Stampede and the biggest shows ever. What was our last day off, Brian?
Oh, I would guess it would probably be the end of March.
March 6th.
Oh, wow. Jeez, wow.
This has just all been leading up to the last Stampede. So now we're kicking it into full gear, baby. And in the previous few days, bear in mind, we live in Alexandria, Louisiana for the Google freaks, or maybe George can do a map for this one. Me and Bobby and Dennis are living in Alexandria, Louisiana. So on that Friday night previous, we had been in Houston, Texas, which was a 500-mile round trip. And then that Saturday, we'd been in the Superdome, which was a 400-mile round trip. And then the next day, we had gone to Oklahoma City, which was 525 miles from Alexandria, and worked a night show there. It was the People record, even though it was a regular show, wasn't the last Stampede. The People record, they had 13,000 people there, but at regular prices, it was like 69 grand. And now we pick up with Monday, April 9th. We're in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. We got to go to Little Rock, Arkansas. 330 miles across, at least it was interstate. So we got up, got some fucking fast food of some description, and fucking took the fuck off for Little Rock by noon. And we were in the main event that night. Again, not a last Stampede. The TV hadn't caught up with that. As we've mentioned in previous segments, the TV bicycled around the territory. So the hot angle could be seen right before you were actually there live, blah, blah, blah. But as we've gone 330 miles, as I said, across the country, we get to, or across the, region. We get there, we're booked in the main event against the Bruise Brothers, Dream Machine, Troy Graham, and Porkchop Cash, from the stuff that we've talked about earlier, how the Dundee had brought them down to be another babyface tag team. But this was after Troy had broken his ankle. So we weren't on last, and we worked with Porkchop and Bill Dundee and beat them, obviously. But then we did a deal also where Terry Taylor and Butch Reed ran in, and we did a whole fucking big goddamn schmoz just to keep the angles going. But the house was $25,000, which, remember when we came in, 3 months beforehand, Little Rock was doing like 12 grand with all the established folks. So business was picking up and doing better. We made $300 that night. And again, we've established, what was it, Brian? 1984 money to today is 3-to-1. So triple the money figures. Was that what we figured on the inflation calculator?
I don't recall. That may be correct, though.
I think it's yes. As a matter of fact, hold on. Do I have notes in the, it's 3-to-1. So we made $900 for this cross-country excursion. And then we headed directly south 270 miles, all state highway to Alexandria from Little Rock. And that was usually at night with no traffic. It was still going to be a 5.5-hour drive. So we got in about 4 a.m. So we are, by the way, the Mid-South Tag Team Champions at this point. We've got the angle that we've just kind of got started with the Rock and Roll Express because of the cake in the face, but we're also going to be working with Watts and etc. So on Tuesday the 10th, we get a little break. We're in Lake Charles, Louisiana, down there at the Lake Charles Civic Center, which is only a 200-mile round trip. And we're in the main event, but we've got the Rock and Roll Express, so at least we won't be killed in the ring, possibly just in the goddamn always. And we fucked them with the tennis racket. Boom. Beat Robert. Bobby covered him 1, 2, 3. And again, this was. Let me just say that I don't want to take the piss out of it. In one of the recent shows we were talking about, everybody said, oh, Gunther had that old kind of territory style heat, right? Where, after the Cena thing, and the fans not only were booing him, but the footage of him in the parking lot going to the bus or whatever, and all the fans are screaming at him. They say it's old-fashioned heat, right?
Yes, and again, we saw that kind of feedback from the reaction after the match that night and then on Raw to Gunther, and while it was more heat than most people get, and it was nice to see, it's a different animal than what you guys were experiencing. Gunther doesn't have to worry about getting to his car.
That's what I'm saying. In Lake Charles, this was one of the buildings we talked about. They tried to squirt the Drano from the water guns in Akbar's eyes, and the way the cops would surround us, etc. But when they would take us out in the parking lot, when the cops would escort us to our cars, they had the canine dogs. They had the police dogs that they would keep the fans back with. And I'm just wondering, Brian, do you genuinely believe that I'm not pissing on Gunther again and etc.? But it's a different day. Do you believe that if Gunther had been walking to the bus and there had been barricades, but no cops, no security, he'd just been walking to his bus, do you think anybody would have jumped on him or tried to harm him?
Do you think that bus could have gotten out of the parking lot? A bus? Think about that, just that aspect of it. All right, all you heels, get on the bus.
Yeah. But no, that was the thing. The cops brought the canines in Lake Charles because they'd had so much trouble with everybody, with the Freebirds and Akbar's guys and etc. They didn't fuck around there. So anyway, we go back home. We made $225 that night. The house was $15,000. Again, it's like $45,000 and what is almost $700 in today's money. We're starting to stack up a pretty good week. And then the next day, we go to Shreveport. For obviously, I leave at 6:30 7 o'clock. I would have to leave at 7 o'clock in the morning on Wednesdays from my apartment in Alexandria to get to Shreveport, 120 miles up the road and not interstate, in time to be at the interviews at Channel 3 on Wednesday mornings, right? At 10 o'clock. So then, after we did interviews and we were done at like 3 or whatever, we'd decorate. If Adrian Street was in the territory, me and him and Miss Linda used to like to go to the Pizza King down the road from the TV station. But whatever the fuck, there was a Po Folks there. Po Folks. But whatever the fuck, we had TV that night at the Irish McNeil Boys Club. And this was the night that I did the angle where it was, again, another match on TV between the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express, but I was barred from ringside. And I ran in, Brian, you've seen the tape. I ran in dressed as a woman and hit Ricky Morton over the head with a loaded purse and knocked him out, and we won. You remember seeing that. Have I told the story before of how much trouble I had getting in that fucking place?
I'm not sure. I definitely know the footage, obviously. I think Bill Watts or the commentators really loved seeing you in a dress after they realized it was the dastardly Jim Cornette. But what's the story behind it?
Here's the problem. And this is where I learned from the masters, because sometimes the masters made mistakes. Because we taped 2 weeks worth of TV programs at each taping, correct? So they wanted us to be on the first one also. The Midnight Express beat a couple of job guys. And I cut a promo about this, bullshit going on with Watts, whatever. But then on the second show, that's where Dundee's idea, which is from Memphis, is, plain and simple, was for the Expresses to have a match on TV and me to be barred from ringside so there'd be no interference. And I would sneak in at a climactic point dressed as a woman in disguise to sneak my way in and fuck the Rock and Roll Express around, whatever the fuck, right? And I said, Bill, how am I going to do both? Because there was no way for the talent to leave the building where the locker rooms were. You had to leave the locker room and go through the building to get out of the goddamn building. The fans would see you, right? And I said, how the fuck am I going to be on the first show and then barred from the building? We're just going to tell them you're going to leave, but then they're going to be looking for me to come back. What if it's just you announce at the start of the night, I'm not there, I can do the promo on tape at the TV station? I don't, whatever the fuck, right? So I do the thing first, and then I walk out, and I've got my bag, and I try to pitch a fit for the people because it's in between tapings. This is a bunch of bullshit. I'm leaving the blah, blah, blah. And I get in the car, and I rush back over to the Alamo Plaza. My room at the Alamo Plaza Motor Inn, the beautiful downtown. And I've gone out earlier in the day because Dundee said, get the outfit. So I went to the mall and you can buy a woman's dress, right? And you can even buy a wig. And this is before online sales or whatever. And people don't look at you too sideways, but try to be a goddamn 22-year-old, 6-foot-tall man and go in and try to find women's shoes to fit your feet. And I ended up telling them I was in a college play. What about that now?
That's good. That is a good reason for doing this.
Because they had no idea. And then I tried the thing on in the hotel room, and then I realized, oh, God damn it. My legs are hairy. They still showed. And I had to goddamn go, and I cut my legs. They're bleeding. I'd shaved my legs like from the knee down or whatever the fuck. And I got a dress with some sleeves, but I still had to shave my arms. I looked like I had scabs like some kind of crack whore. So I rush over there and I put this fucking outfit on. I said, how am I supposed to get back in to where I can see to run it? Oh, and Dundee, I swear to God, Dundee said, just go up to the desk and Grizzly will be waiting for you. No, he didn't. He said, go up to the desk and tell whatever the fuck the guy's name was that sold tickets. Just whisper to him, you're going in. And then just go and mingle in the crowd. See, I used to do everything I was told. Here I come in the front door of the fucking Irish McNeil Boys Club as I think have started the next taping already because it took me a while to get down the street and put all this shit on. And I'm wobbling on the heels, even though I got short ones, I'm wobbling on the heels. I'm a 6-foot, 210-pound fucking woman in a flowered muumuu that looked like my Aunt Lola used to wear, a wig and sunglasses, carrying a fucking purse. They turned around and it spotted me instantly. It's Cornette. He's trying to sneak back in. I was like, oh my God, they're going to kill me. And they started coming off the bleachers. And I told the ticket guys to go get Grizzly. Tell him I'm in the parking lot. And I fucking wobbled back on the goddamn heels back out to my car to where I could get to lock myself in case they mobbed me. And here he's big fat ass comes lumbering out in the darkness. And I said, I told you I created what the fuck? So come on. And he walks me around another way and they put me in a goddamn, literally some type of maintenance closet. There were the mop buckets and shit in there and stuff. And he said, you know your cue, just peek out the door here. Because at least it was on the dressing rooms, as we've talked about, where that long staircase where they could see you coming, right? Well, this was on the main floor underneath that. So I'm looking out there, and when the fucking thing happens, I run out there, slide in, hit him with the purse, start to leap out of the ring like I usually do. And as I've told you the story before, I realized I've got high heels on. And I tried to kick one off, and the other one stayed on. I turned dislocated some element of my foot and limped the fuck off. Covered in scabs and thoroughly disheartened with the whole goddamn thing. So that was that night.
So I can appreciate commitment to craft.
Yes.
Did anyone instruct you to get heels? Or was that your pick?
Well, no.
Did you need heels?
It wasn't like it was high heels. They were just goddamn some women's dress shoes. I don't know women. This is 40 years ago. Women used to be more fashionable. They used to dress up a little bit.
It's 40 years ago. And I remember
also, I had never at that point tried to dress in fucking heels before, so I didn't realize it didn't compute with me while I was worried about my face and my body that you might not be able to walk in those son of a bitches.
But everything you did.
It's only about an inch or so.
But again, I remember the angle. So it stood out. 40 years ago, Jim Cornette in drag to help his team and screw over the Rock and Roll Express. It stands out. It's memorable. But the steps you took, wig, dress, heels. Again, heels I wonder about. I guess wig and dress were necessities. You couldn't have gotten a long sleeve dress? You had to shave your arms and legs for this angle?
Well, no, again, it was a long dress, but you could still, if I was flittering around, you could see my hairy goddamn legs and the arms. It was like from the elbow down, because sort of like the kind of a truck driver type of fucking thing. But I was looking in the mirror, just seeing what I could pick out that I could do anything about quickly.
Did you have a girlfriend at that time? Is this something you would consult your girlfriend? Like, how does this look? Does this brassiere look right?
No, well, yes, I did at the time, but no, I did not consult, because also I went and got this stuff that fucking afternoon in between the TV and the goddamn Irish McNeil Boys Club. So again, this, and that's what, all that stuff you see on all those old tapes. Dundee would just say, we're going to have a fucking party. And I knew what to bring. Or we're going to dress as a woman and come in with a loaded purse. Okay. And Dusty later on could just call that. And I had came up with the shit. I had the shit. I, brought it with me.
So when you hit the ring, at that point, neither the Rock and Roll Express nor your own guys had seen what you looked like.
No.
Did Dennis or Bobby have anything to say later that day?
No, they loved it. They loved it, and we couldn't really congratulate, or they couldn't really congratulate me too much or whatever, because I was down on the floor having Nikolai Volkov snap my fucking dislocated foot back into position. But it accomplished the purpose on TV, even if the people it made it more believable, because people were like, God damn him, how'd he get in through there? And we saw him, we thought we ran him off.
That is funny, the idea that some of those fans went back in their seats like, you're never going to believe what we just saw. Jim Cornette dressed like a woman trying to sneak into the building.
Yes, and I was trying to just hold my purse up and not look at him. It's Cornette. And I got a certain way, and I saw people start to get up off the balcony, the bleachers. And I said, all right, I can't. I don't even have a good enough balance to fight. So yeah, I got it. But anyway, and we did that, and then we went home. So that was only, I left Alexandria that morning at 7:00, and I got back that night at probably 12:30, 1:00. So that was only what, I can't do that math, 12, 5, 7, 18-hour day, let's say. But then the thing is, Brian, we had a chance to rest, because the next day we'd have to leave the goddamn house till a little bit after noon. Biloxi, Mississippi, 500 miles round trip, the complete opposite direction, past New Orleans. And I've mentioned again that Biloxi, that Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum, it was a big building and dark and dangerous. And they never did, Mid-South never did well there. The houses were always in the teens, if that. But this was the last stampede, and they had to give it to every town, right? And this is like, well, what's a tie is like your sister kissing the person you tied with, or what's that old saying?
It's not that.
Who does your sister have to kiss here? Well, the point is it's this is kind of the reverse of he stole the show, but it was petty theft. It was the record house that Mid-South Wrestling ever did in Biloxi, and it was still a shits, but it was $35,000. And we each made $500 that night. So that's about $1,500. But this was the dress, at least, instead of the diaper. And basically, boom, I hit Bobby with the tennis racket, and Watts slapped me and picked Bobby up and gave him the Oklahoma Stampede 1, 2, 3. And then they jerked me in and had to strip me down and put me in the pink flowery dress, which that's another, the takeoff that Dundee was doing here was trying to get me some more heat, because these two tapes that we had just done where I dressed in a dress on purpose are going to air a few weeks after that I'm being dressed in a dress to humiliate me. Like, that son of a bitch, turn it back on him. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is, but anyway, problem is I'm modeling a lot of different fucking styles. So then by the time we get home that night, or I should say the next morning, getting out of the show at 10:30 and being almost a 5-hour drive, it's a little past 3 a.m. But then the following day, we've got to go back the same way we just drove to Baton Rouge. It's only 100 miles, but it's 100 miles back in the exact same direction we came from. And somebody might say, well, why did you get a hotel? What, Jesus Christ. Then we're paying for our own hotel to save 200 miles of driving, and that fucking blows, right? But we go back to, and I made a note here, Brian. I had a brake job and an oil change and etc. for $179.81, because everybody's cars were getting beat to shit. But that night in Baton Rouge, Friday, April 13th, I should mention these dates, was the Baton Rouge last stampede. And as far as I know, but I never got it confirmed, this was, I know it was the best house they did this year, but this was the best they ever did in the Centroplex. There may have been a bigger one with the Freebirds, I'm not sure. It wasn't sold out, but the house was $48,000, which again today is like $150,000 a day, and we got $1,000 a piece. So this was after the Superdome, and Shreveport was good, which we covered on our last segment. The Superdome was great. And then Biloxi was the best Biloxi, but that was faint praise. But now we've seen in one of our real meat and potatoes towns, this thing's going to go way over what the normal houses are. So, and that was nice that we were only 100 miles from home. I yield to questions before I give you this weekend.
You getting the oil change, how often were you driving your car?
Well, nominally and as a rule of thumb, we were rotating in terms of one night it's me taking Bobby and Dennis, next night it's Bobby taking me and Dennis, next night it's Dennis taking me and Bobby. You see what I'm saying? But there were exceptions because I always had to go to Shreveport every Wednesday morning, and Bobby and Dennis, the midnight, did not have to do local promos, which got them a half a day off every week, which got them envy, not heat. Nobody was, mad at them, but envy from the other boys that all had to go to promos. So I would always make that trip, and then there would be, other odd ducks where if I was with Hercules Hernandez, but that's when the midnight were off at various points over the summer. But generally, and then when Dennis insisted that goddamn it, Buddy Landell was going to ride with us, he was going to drive his turn, and I was skipping every fourth day because Buddy was driving. And as we told a story, what that lasted maybe a few weeks before Buddy ended up miring him in the field of mud. But normally, we're alternating. And then in some cases, depending on the trip, because I would like to drive at night much better. I wasn't drinking, so they could drink and sleep, and I was up all night anyway. And then during the day, one of them might drive because I was sleeping in the fucking back seat so that I could bring us back. So sometimes it was like that also.
And one more question about travel, as we are kind of in the midst of the last Stampede period, and there are lots of different shows in different places. How did Watts travel around for the last Stampede? Because obviously before that, he wasn't going to the majority of all these shows. He would just show up at some shows and TV. How was he traveling around for was he flying from city to city, or what did he do?
Well, that's a good question that nobody has ever asked before, and I didn't actually ever ask see, that's the thing is with almost all of the locker rooms being separate, not all of them, but almost all of them, out of the, 15 or 16 last Stampede matches, we might have actually spoken to him 4 times. And we were always, as soon as we got to the building, we hustled into the goddamn building to make sure the fans didn't get a crack at us out in the parking lot or whatever. And generally, because we were only supposed to be there an hour beforehand, that's the same time that doors open and people would be in the arena. So we went straight to the heel locker room. I don't know how the fuck he was driving her. Somebody was driving him probably for some of the towns. And I would imagine that he was flying into the big markets and blah, blah, blah. But see, these, as you'll see, these were not every night. These were 2 days in a row here and et cetera. Was he still flying a plane at that point?
You would know better than I.
Remember, he did for a while. Well, I know better about most things, but I figured I'd let you take a crack at that.
That was one of the highlights of Mid-South TV in like 81 and 82 was just when a match got a little slow, all of a sudden be like, I was at the airport the other day flying my plane. I ran into this person and that person and the son of the guy from the State Athletic Commission, like just random people he would name drop that he ran into at the airport.
Emile Pepe Bruno.
There you go. There you go.
Emile Pepe Bruno was the chairman of the Louisiana Athletic Commission and long-time close personal friend of Bill Watts. Got mentioned a lot because I think he got him in the Superdome. But anyway, so the point is, now the Stampede's working on Friday the 13th. We did the big house in Baton Rouge. Now here is the weekend. Watts can have a day or so to rest. We work on Saturday, April 14th, a matinee and an evening, the 2:00 show in Brookhaven, Mississippi, which was a 300-mile round trip from Alexandria. So like again, the state roads, 3 hours there and 3 hours back. And it was just a spot show, the Lloyd Star High School against the Rock and Roll Express. We got disqualified, $5,700 house, which tickets in those days, that meant there was probably, counting the kids, 1,000 people in that high school on a Saturday afternoon. We got $100. I believe I could have done without the experience overall, because when we come back home to Alexandria, that's the show that night at the Rapides Parish Coliseum. It was supposed to be the Bruise Brothers again for the Mid-South Tag title. It was again Pork Chop and Dundee, unfortunately. And boom, we won. We did 14 grand in Alexandria and got another couple of $100. So again, translating to modern currency, we made almost $1,000 a piece that day, and they grossed almost 60 grand today on that Saturday. But remember, I said it was March 6th, our last day off, and we've been doing this shit. And the boys have been getting juice, and Watts has been football kicking them in the fucking head. I've been in and out of more clothing than a goddamn Bourbon Street hooer. We're on the road this week alone, 5, 8, 13, 15, 18, fucking 2 is going to be 3,000 fucking miles. And now we're working multiple times a fucking day. Do you sense a pattern here of how it started to get a little stressful?
How much money did you ever stop and think about, just if you could somehow separate the office from the person, how much money Bill Watts personally made during this few-week period of time, month period of time in 1984?
I have no idea. I used to be able to quote the statistics off the top of my head, and I'm elderly now. But in the period from the first last Stampede match to the last one, like I said, was about 5 weeks or thereabouts. The Stampedes alone grossed almost 900 grand, and the territory did 1.2 million, which in that period of time for all the shows, which again would be almost $4 million looking at today. And that was for a little bit over a month. That was Crockett. Crockett's biggest year was 1986, where he did 21 million. We have in his deposition testimony. And that's not, at that point, he wasn't even averaging $2 million a month. And here's Mid-South Wrestling suddenly, Jesus Christ, they've done 7 figures last month. What the fuck is going on down there? Well, the answer is they're working us every goddamn day. Because now Sunday the 15th, April 15th, right? Tax day. We're gonna have plenty of money to pay tax on, is another double shot. Beaumont, Texas, and Houston, Texas. And Brian, again, remember, from Little Rock, Arkansas, to Lake Charles, Louisiana, to Shreveport, Louisiana, an 18-hour day with interviews, to Biloxi, Mississippi, to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, back to Brookhaven, Mississippi, at home in Alexandria, an afternoon show in Beaumont, Texas, again beating Pork Chop Cash and Bill Dundee. The house is $6,900. I hated Beaumont, Texas. There were several nice young ladies that were very supportive of me and the Midnight Express there. But nobody else came. It was always a shitty house, and it was $6,900, and we made $60. But we were there, by God, at the beautiful Blow Snot, Texas Civic Center. And then we went to Houston. So we've already 160 miles from Alexandria to Beaumont, and then Houston's another 90, 80, 90. Brian, that was the last Stampede in Houston, the big house at the Sam Houston Coliseum. And we've literally not only worked every day, but multiple times some days for the last fucking 6 weeks. And we show up to that thing, and they're lined up 4 abreast from the front door down the goddamn front steps of the Coliseum, around the side, and snaking down the back toward the parking lot. And I'm thinking, we got to Beaumont, we would have got out of there for 5. It's for a 7:30, as I recall, show that it would have been the bell time. This is an hour before. It's already dark, and they're still trying to get in. So this is when we really said, holy shit, this is going to be a big deal for everybody concerned. So we get in there, and again, history is forgotten. We were booked in a regular match, Mid-South Tag title match with the Bruise Brothers. Again, Dundee was going to give them such a push. And we worked again with Porkchop and Dundee underneath, and that's when they'd flown Jimmy Hart down. Jimmy Hart, bless him, I bet he made a better payoff on that show than he did any show he ever worked in Memphis. But Jimmy had come down to be opposite me in the Bruise Brothers corner, so they honored that booking because he'd been advertised. But unfortunately, we had to beat him, but that was the regular match, and then the last Stampede match was non-sanctioned, the lights out match. So this is the fifth match since Saturday afternoon at 2:00. The fifth match in the fourth different location that we're going out for in the previous fucking 36 hours.
That's wild.
And they got juice on Bobby and Dennis and fucking kicked them in the head and dressed me in the dress. And there were 12,284 people there paying $102,000 with what Paul Bosch said. And again, he's not known for his hyperbole, but he was still a promoter. They turned about 2,000 people away. And that was one of the big payoffs of the run. We got $1,500 a piece. So our week for all that shit, we made $39.25, which let's say 3 times that, it's like having a $12,000 week today. But at the same point in time, look at the goddamn grosses that this territory that really runs part of 4 states is doing. That there was the second week of the that was the third time I saw the Loch Ness Monster. That was the second week of the last Stampede. Your thoughts before we move on?
I don't know if favorite is the right word, but of all the stipulations for the last Stampede, which one did you mind the least? The baby bottle, the diaper, the dress, whatever it may be. Which one was the least bothersome to you?
I liked the dress, and I'll tell you why. Because the goddamn diaper and the baby bottle, not only would they squirt me with the bottle and do all the disgusting things, like dog would take a big mouthful and he'd give me the big working dog kiss and spit it at me. But also they had the giant gimmick comedy-looking safety pin made so everybody could see it in the big building, and Watts would stab me with it to get just a little bit to get me to sell, not throwing blood or anything. And then in Hammond, Louisiana, as we will talk about at some point here soon, I got tarred and feathered. And that shit just takes forever to get off, and it's all over your shit. You just throw it away. So the dress was my favorite, and especially...
What dress was used?
Some giant fucking flowery moo-moo that he had got for the TV promos that I don't know who carried it around. I never had possession of the dress. That was up to Watts.
After your angle, you didn't say, like, hey, I actually have something that fits really well. I just picked out for myself.
I turned it back in, is what I did, and like a good little soldier.
What do you mean you turned it back in? You returned it to the store?
Well, I turned it back. I had to go back to the locker room and take the fucking thing off and give it to the goddamn road agent or for the referee or Ronnie West, whoever the fuck might have, Dundee, whoever. So here's Watts' fucking dress back. He likes this moo-moo. Anywho, would you like to move on? Wait, we're not done yet. We don't have a day off for a while now. The following day, Monday, April 16th, we go back from Houston the previous night back to Alexandria, which is 250 miles, 4 hours. After that insanity, it's close to 4 a.m. by the time we got home. And the next day, we're back in New Orleans. We just ran the Superdome on the 7th. We're back on the 16th with the regular weekly shows starting again. And that's another 400-mile round trip. But now we're again with the Rock and Roll Express. And then we're starting to get steam on this program because the New Orleans has seen the last Stampede with Watts and Dog and me humiliated. So now Dundee wants the thing with the Rock and Roll Express to have some heat. So we in the match, we get heat on Robert Gibson and get him busted open and bleeding. And then Robert does this thing where he kicks Bobby off, but Bobby goes into the referee. And then Dennis and Ricky have a double knockout. And so I come in with the tennis racket and I waffle fucking Ricky. But Robert, at the same time, jackknife pins Bobby, and the referee counts in the middle 1, 2, 3. But the referee, it's not a title match. The referee raises their hand, and that's when I throw powder in their eyes and we blind them and we beat them up and bust Ricky open. And now he's bleeding. And then they send all the baby faces out of the locker room to run us off. So we're starting to build that now that, the thing with Watts is behind us in that market. And I do not have the house recorded, but we got a $200 payoff. So it was probably so-so, but it's 9 days after the fucking Superdome. This is why we're moving forward with another thing. And then Tuesday, April 17th, Brian, I know that you'll find this hard to believe, but they decided, let's just fucking run Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Where's that?
Exactly. It was only 50 miles from Louisiana, but I looked at the goddamn map and I'm like, look, this is just down some country road. It was us and the Rock and Roll Express in the main event, but Mid-South Wrestling, Fort Polk, Louisiana. We show up there. They have turned people away from this fucking thing. We did a $14,000 house with like tickets at 10, 7, and 4. So there's like 2,000 people or whatever in this fucking gym. Sell out. And, boom. We do a spot show. But again, we had just been in Alexandria the previous Saturday night. This is Tuesday. We're 50 miles away. And they got 2,000 people at this thing. And there is a fort there. And there was a contingent of service people, but good heavens. So that's what I'm saying is they're finding these wide spots in the road and they're getting a couple thousand people to come to some of them.
Who would have been responsible for something like that? Jack Curtis?
Oh, well, Jack Curtis probably in that area. The Culkins were still at that point in charge of Mississippi. There was, again, other small local promoters that the Homas and Laranjas of the world had been inherited for these local guys. But at this point, Jack Curtis was expanding, a lot of the schedule with finding a lot of these towns. And then the following day is Wednesday, April 18th, right? Well, you remember what Wednesdays are, that's promos. So we've come back from Fort Polk and we got back because it's only 50 miles. Hey, we're home in time to watch the 11 o'clock news. But I've still got to get up at 6 o'clock and leave at 7 o'clock to drive to Shreveport like I do every morning to make sure I don't get caught in rush hour before I get to the fucking TV station. And we do interviews from 9 or 10, whatever, to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then this time, we've got the last Stampede that night in Greenville, Mississippi. So it's only 200 miles from Shreveport. But as soon as we get out of interview, and all the guys are on the card, so it's not just, I'm not just saying, oh, poor me. Everybody's got to leave interviews, jump the car, and drive across Greenville, Mississippi. And again, that's the last Stampede match. This is the diaper and the baby bottle. And Greenville, the problem was that the Curtises, the Culkins, Curtises, they only really had 4 regular towns in Mississippi. And then every once in a while, they'd let them have a spot show, or whatever. They had Biloxi and Jackson. And then they had Greenville and Greenwood, which were very close together and almost to the Memphis market. So the people in Greenwood, really a lot of them living in the suburbs, got Memphis TV too. And the only town that was any money was Jackson. So we still had to run these towns to satisfy whatever their arrangement was. So they got the last Stampede in Greenville, fucking Mississippi. And it was a sellout. And it was the record gate they ever did there. And it was still only $14,000. But again, this was this little bitty local Greenwood Civic Center, whatever, that shouldn't really held that many people. But we had to do it there also. And this is where, again, Bobby and Dennis are getting the football kick to the head, the juice. I got the diaper, the baby bottle. We've done that after the interviews. Now we got to go on to Jackson, Mississippi, which is another 130 miles to check in and stay over for the following night's show, because the next night is Jackson, Mississippi at the Fairgrounds Coliseum. And that's the money town in the Culkins territory. And that was the last Stampede with the dress, thank goodness. But that night, the house was $63,000. That's the equivalent of almost 190 grand a day. We made $1,000 a piece. That's like almost $3,000. It was a record gross for the building for wrestling. It was a complete sellout. And who was it? God damn it. It may have been George C. Culkin himself, or it may have been Jack Curtis. But somebody said the last time that they had that many people in that building for wrestling, Danny Hodge was in the main event and tickets were $2.
Wow.
So that was fucking chaos. But again, with this fucking road schedule, and every night we're doing something while Watts gets a couple of days off in between to rest and recuperate. But he had already torn his quad, remember? You've seen some of the tapes of some of those after the first. Oh, God damn it. What was it torn in the Superdome?
Was it the first match or was it the Superdome?
It was either one or the other. But Watts doing that thing where he football punted the boys in the head so they could get their juice. He said, "Oh, no, I can do this." Well, he used to be able to, 15 years younger. And also the first or second time that he did it, he tore his he didn't tear his quad, his hamstring. If he'd torn his quad, that would have been kind of bad. But he tore his hamstring, and for the rest of the matches, the tour, he had the whole leg wrapped up from his knee to his thigh, and he was walking like the Walking Dead, and the boys just had to run into him even further. But nevertheless, so we got that done there in Jackson and set that record, and then came back home to Alexandria to at least do our laundry and change our shit. And on Friday the 20th, we were back up in Shreveport at the house show, because now we've got the Rock and Roll Express based on the thing that we did on TV where I ran in with the woman in the dress and the blah, blah, blah. So again, now we got to get heat on these fucking guys. We get heat on Robert in the match, and we do the spot where he's going to hit the rope, and I pull the top rope, and he takes a bump outside. Bobby runs him into the ring post, and he gets busted open. He's got color. And then finally, he gets the tag to Ricky, who makes the comeback. And then again, Robert kicks Bobby into the referee. They do the double knockout with Dennis and Rick. And everybody's down. I whack Ricky with the tennis racket. We do the double pin thing where Dennis is on Ricky, but Robert cradles Bobby. Referee counts to 3, raises their hands, but then we blind them and kick the shit out of them again. So what Dundee's doing here is showing that we're the Mid-South Tag Team Champions, but we lose these non-title matches, but we try to cheat, get foiled, and then kick the shit out of them again. And as long as these two kids are down, preferably bleeding, the people are going to come back and see more of it. Anyhow.
Hey, real quick.
And then, yes.
Oh, if you don't mind, I asked you about the other people. Let me ask you about him. In terms of money for the year, I guess you can't really just look at this specific time period for Dundee. Where did this rank for Dundee in terms of how much money he made during his career, booking Mid-South in 84? And if you know anything specific about how the booker would have been paid around the last Stampede?
No, here's the thing. I did not have the seniority or the balls to ask Dundee how he was getting paid. And through history, different bookers have had different deals with different promoters they worked for, depending on their relationships and success and whatever, whether it be a percentage of a town or you're already a top guy in the territory, so we're gonna pay you like that, and here's this for booking on top of it, and a blah blah blah. And all I can say is I guarantee you that I would think that there would be no way that any individual wrestler made more money than Dundee in 1984 working for Mid-South Wrestling than Dundee did as booker. So he was into 6 figures because we made $90-something thousand, where the fuck it is. But the booker is more important. And Dundee wrestled a number of times to fill in early in the year. And then in mid-card matches, by the end of the year, he was working some. So, but the booker is more important, especially in this year when he brought all this talent, than any particular guy, unless it was a junkyard dog or the Dusty in Florida, or who sometimes was the booker, or Lawler in Memphis, who sometimes was the booker, etc. The booker should be making more money than the boys. So I would think that Dundee had approached $100,000 based on booking and working on top in Memphis, but I don't know that he would have exceeded it because he didn't have an actual percentage of any of the towns or the whole company like Lawler did, and later on would have more of. Is that a long-winded answer to your question?
It's an answer to my question, though. Thank you.
But that's, again, this was still the era where if you made $100,000 or more in the wrestling business, you were considered, you'd made it. You were successful. You were on to $100,000 a year. You're on top, whatever the fuck. It's not today's economics, but this also, a lot of guys were starting to make more at that point in time. And a lot of this money to be doubled or tripled in the Crockett days, et cetera. With, I've said, and we'll get back to the schedule here for this weekend of insanity. But when we were hot with the Rock and Roll Express for Crockett and had a 40-something, let's say $4,800 week in 1986, the same week, Dusty and Flair had been on top in world title matches, and I saw Flair's check in the office as it was laying on a desk. And it's not like I was snooping, especially because even then I was nearsighted, but it was just laid out there, and it was for $13,000. So I'm like, okay, I'm thinking that Flair is making, because he's the world champion and the top heel, of a little over 3 times and working single matches in a lot of cases. He makes about 3 times as much as we do in the semifinals. That means Dusty is making even more than that because he's also fucking booking. So those guys were approaching, they were in the high 6 figures that year. And, you know, who knows whether they're kind of, Flair was still making out dates with big shows in Puerto Rico, whatever the fuck, that wouldn't even have been paid through Crockett. So, blah, blah, blah. Are you ready to get to Easter weekend? And then we'll see what's going on. Because this is, again, we had our last day off on March the 6th. We're now at Saturday, April 21st. We're in the main event in Monroe, Louisiana, and that last Stampede. And Monroe was, again, it was a regular town. They'd been running Monroe as a town back to the old McGurk days and beyond, back to the old Fuller days, but not in the big civic center. And Monroe was a town that they didn't draw a crowd that necessitated this civic center for anything in the way of wrestling. So we did $23,000 there. I don't know that it was the record. I think it might have been the best we did all year in Monroe. But again, the diaper in the bottle is like the diaper in the bottle always comes up when it's a shit town anyway. But Monroe is a town they ran every 2 weeks because it was its own television market. And they, you know, had a local guy there, whatever. So boom. And Watts he had slowly, with the exception of Shreveport, the Municipal Auditorium, I'm trying to think of, and Homa and Laranja, Louisiana, all the other towns that he ran, every town in his market or in his territory that was its own TV market, they would run live events. And he had switched from the old building or the smaller building or the secondary building or whatever to the bigger buildings in town, except for, as I said, Shreveport, Lafayette, Louisiana was still the old building. But most of the Centroplex now in Baton Rouge instead of whatever, they were weaning themselves off the downtown Municipal Auditorium in New Orleans, or would be here in the next couple months, and starting to try to go more to the lakefront. So anyway, Monroe, 23 grand at the ticket prices. I would hope that was 2,500 people, and we made $400. But then here's the goddamn deal. The next day, we're booked in Oklahoma City for a matinee and Tulsa at night, and both of them are last Stampede matches. And then the next day, Monday, we're back in New Orleans, and then we're goddamn in Little Rock, Arkansas. It's ridiculous. So instead of driving home to Alexandria from Monroe, which it's only like 90 miles to our homes, and we could have slept in our beds, we've got to drive to Baton Rouge, where we're going to fly the next morning from Baton Rouge because they have night jets and direct service, and we might actually get there alive. From Baton Rouge up to Oklahoma to make the rest of this loop. So Sunday, April 22nd is Easter. We get up, we fly from Baton Rouge to Oklahoma City. And I've got plane ticket, $155. Coincidentally, I think you got $125 extra on your check for going on the Oklahoma loops plus your payoff. And he said, well, you can either make money on gas or it almost covers the ticket. But we fly to Oak City. We get a fucking car. We goddamn go to the Myriad. It's the last Stampede with the diaper finish. The house is $97,000. And there was actually a goddamn computer glitch. We would have broken $100,000 because they turned, once again, according to Jack Curtis, like 3,000 people away. But it would have gone over $100,000, but there was a computer glitch and they didn't sell a block of 200 fucking general admission tickets or whatever the fuck it was. Anyway, it's still almost 13,000 fucking people. And we each get a $1,500 payoff. That's like 40. So it's like drawing 300,000 and we each got $4,500 as a payoff for this thing. They strip me down. They put me in a diaper. They feed me the bottle. They stick me with the safety pin. And that's the 3:00 show. I'm saying it may have been 2:00. Then we goddamn jump in our rental car, Brian, and we get on the highway between Oak City and Tulsa, which it's 100 miles over to Tulsa, and we rush over there. And that's when Watts would always okay the guys in Oak City on the card, the underneath guys. They could leave because they had to head to Tulsa to make sure that the show could start on time because there was a 7:30 bell time. So since we were the last match, by the time we got to Tulsa, 100 miles down the road, the show had already started. And it's another one, this time the dress, but it's another Last Stampede match. And this was a complete sellout and a record gate, and they turned more people away. And another $50,000 house and a $750 payoff. So in one day on Easter Sunday, in two cities, Oklahoma City and Tulsa, they sold somewhere around 19,000 tickets and drew almost $150,000.
During this period of time, you're always pretty conscious about what's happening and also how it stands in a historical context. What are you thinking? Are you smart enough, and I'm sure you were, to understand that this couldn't last forever? But you are in the middle of the hottest year. It's not just the Last Stampede was hot. This is the hottest part of the hottest year.
Yes.
Did you write to your mom and tell her, seriously, like, we broke every record there was in every building we went to?
Well, I didn't exactly write it to her because there was a thing called the phone even back then.
Okay.
And remember, I brought her to the Superdome. She saw it. And that's the thing. A month or even a few weeks or whatever before I left the Tennessee territory, I'm working 2 or 3 days a week in like the National Guard Armory in Glasgow or whatever. And I'm saying, yeah, I'm only making a couple of $100. And 3 months after I leave home, she comes down and sees me in the main event in the Superdome in front of 23,000 people. So she knew. And then obviously when we did get a chance to speak on the phone, which there were no cell phones again. So when we're in the fucking car, nobody knows what the fuck's going on. And we're always in the car. But no, I'm telling her, no, I made $4,770 this week because that's what I made that week, which is the equivalent, almost 15 grand today again for the youngsters out there. But I was making $200 a week for working 4 or 5 times in Tennessee right before I left. And I'm now making more than my father did to be the vice president of the fucking paper. So she was obviously, she saw those people. She was worried about my safety, but she was happy about my success. And that's the thing. I knew, obviously, no, I know we've shot the hot angle. Watts has come out of retirement. And a lot of this is his gravy train, but we set it up perfectly, and I'm the fucking foil. So this can't just continue to happen all the time, but we've still got the Rock and Roll Express to go. And if we stopped here, Bobby and Dennis and I have had a remarkable turnaround in 4 months from those guys on the card barely getting booked to holy shit, this is the hottest fucking pop territory right now in the country. And these guys that we never heard of are in the main events.
Do you think your mom said anything to Christine Jarrett about how good you were doing?
Oh, well, of course she did. Yes. If Teeny would still come and stay here sometimes on their way to Lexington or whatever, even after I was gone, just so they could visit. But yes, she was rubbing it in, not rubbing it in because it wasn't Teeny's fault, but she definitely loved to bring up some of the high points to admit, because she was mad at Lawler. My mom was mad at Lawler for not booking me, right? And I'm like, I'm glad he ran me off. I wouldn't have this fucking spot. But, you know.
Isn't that something too? Like, if you look at your 1982, the year you started, your rookie year, you were still doing the photos. So really, if you look at the entirety of your career, 1983 was the hardest you were ever hit financially.
Yes. That's why I still don't eat Hamburger Helper ever, even though it's a junk food that you would think I'd like because there's hamburger and potentially cheese in it. But no, I was actually legitimately eating Hamburger Helper. So not a fan. But nevertheless, so that week again, but let me just add do a little mathematics here, 5 and 7 and 8 and holy fuck, where is that even? 1,000 and 12 and 13 and 15. That's 1,500 miles in the car plus a flight to Oklahoma, working every day again, plus the long interview segment on Wednesday, and a double shot on the Sunday where we set the altar. And by the way, they've never drawn that many people in one day in the state of Oklahoma since, and they'd never done it before. So that was 8 matches, interviews, flights. You literally, except for sleeping, you were getting up and grabbing something to eat and eating in the car and headed toward the next fucking thing.
It's amazing. The schedule is just, you know, when you think you finally heard it all and it's like, this is the most complicated schedule there is, you just introduce another week into the picture. It's just more shows everywhere. It also really makes you appreciate how hard the wrestlers have it today. You know, sometimes there may not be a pillow when you go to sleep on the plane. You never know.
Catering may be out of Parmesan for the pasta.
That's right.
And when the fucking massage therapist comes in, they may have a sprain themselves, may not be able to push hard enough.
What if your tour bus loses a tire? What if your driver has to deal with your tour bus on the side of the road?
Oh, Christ. And I've told some road stories, and we'll get into a few more here as we continue this project. But no, it was there. I've said we pulled up in Baton Rouge one time in the back of a chicken truck. Me and Bobby rode in the back of a pickup truck 90 miles from Monroe to Alexandria one time with Dennis up in the cab with these 2 guys that just picked us up because we were broke down and charitably drove us home. And they were some fucking Southern Comfort motherfuckers. And every other, we broke down on the side of the road one time with Carl Fergie, and he's up on the shoulder of the road while we're kind of down on this little dip area here that we've pulled off. And as every truck goes by, he's using the universal signal for wrench. He's doing like the bushwhacker arm movement. Said, you got a wrench, we can't get our tire off. And it just, and the one, when we get to the Little Rock last Stampede, I'll tell you the story of the alternator lawnmowers repair shop in Star City, Arkansas. I told it when we did the last Stampede a few years ago, and somebody on a comment on the YouTube clip said they remember the day they were from Star City, Arkansas, and people talked about the day the Midnight Express and Cornette were broke down there for weeks afterwards.
That's amazing.
But again, Watts was injured. He pulled his own muscle, kicking people in the head too strenuously. And he'd been retired for like 3 years at this point or whatever. All these other guys are still active. that are on the cards, and they're working every night, and you're not getting a lot of injuries. You're not getting a lot of no-shows. You're not getting a lot of people that I can't make it tonight, boss. I mean, that card, and I'll give you this real quick, and we've finished this week up, so we will take a pause for commercial messages. But the April 15th card in Houston that I said set the record with Dog and Watts against us. Here's the whole card. Tony Torres beat Joe Savoldi. Jose Lothario beat John King. Buddy Landell drew El Bracero, Jose Martinez. Terry Taylor beat Butch Reed on disqualification. The Rock and Roll Express beat Nikolai Volkov and the Russian Invader, who was bounty hunter Jerry Novak under the mask, the gimmick he did in Tennessee. Masayo Ito beat Hector Guerrero in a Mexican death match. The Midnight Express beat Dundee and Pork Chop Cash. Mr. Wrestling 2 beat Magnum TA. Hacksaw Duggan beat Crusher Darso in a coal miner's glove match. And Dog and Watts beat us. Now, really, if you take off pretty much the Hispanic talent that was on the undercard specific to Houston, all those guys were making this fucking schedule. Duggan, Darso, 2, TA, The Midnight, Rock and Roll, Nikolai, Terry Taylor, Butch Reed, Buddy Landell. And I mean, no wonder some of these guys were on fucking drugs.
What were they doing in Houston that set up Hector Guerrero versus Masao Ito in a Mexican death match?
Something that happened on the previous show, because remember at that time, Houston wrestling was still 90 minutes on television. And since the Mid-South TV was 60 minutes, Bosch insisted on some customization of the Houston cards featuring guys that were over there that may not be in the rest of the territory. And he had an extra 30 minutes to, here's what happened with Hector last week at the Sam Houston, and here's what he has to say about it. And he's already got the TV content. He airs it. And those guys would come in and out. Jose, Hector Guerrero, Jose Martinez, El Bracero. And, and that worked. And he had, because it was the last Stampede card was a big one anyway, and all the Mid-South guys had to work. But plus, Paul wanted his local fucking flavor, so he had an extra 2 or 3 matches there than what everybody else around the territory got. But anyway, and I'll give you a hint. We're up to Monday, April 23rd, where we'll be back in New Orleans. But if you're into the next day off sweepstakes, don't pick April, because it ain't going to happen.
Well, there it is, your schedule for Mid-South Wrestling, the middle part, I guess, of the month of 1984, of April 1984. Hey, it's the end of the year.
It's the second and third weeks of April 1984. How's that?
Well, that's pretty good. And of course, Jim, we are here at the end of the year for the experience and the drive-thru coming up, and the omnibuses are all abound. But this is, I would assume, the end of the program here.
Rock bottom is, and I quote, at the lowest possible point. After today, there should be a second definition for rock bottom. And I quote, Monday Night Raw. The latest numbers for Netflix have been released for the week of 12/22 to 12/28. Not only did Raw once again not qualify in the Netflix top 10 global list, because that's a new trend for WWE. They have been paid $500 million a year to not even place in the global top 10 list. But on top of that stunningly awful feat for WWE, for the first time ever, Raw has even failed to qualify in the top 10 US domestic list for Netflix. So forget the global list. Before this deal, they brag that now they can reach 700 million people. You're going to be seeing more viewership than Raw has ever gotten, even the Attitude Era. 700 million people can now get our product. But forget that that has failed miserably. And they can't even get on the top 10 global list. Baby steps. They can't even stay on the top 10 US list. And I wish I could tell you that is why they have officially hit rock bottom, but it gets even worse when you take a deep dive into what beat them. Why Raw was booted from all of these lists. Look at the list! Emily is in Paris. Emily is in Paris. Emily! I don't know who or what an Emily is, but she beat Monday Night Raw. What the fuck is an Emily? An Emily! I don't care what an Emily is, where she is. She could be in Italy, a sewer, aisle 5 of a rundown grocery store. Screw Emily! Man versus baby. Man versus baby. A baby beat Helmsley? A baby beat a doofus! I guess that does make sense. Man versus baby. But it's what snuck in at number 10 with just over 3 million in viewership. 3 million. That means WWE couldn't even get the 10th spot. And do you know what beat it? Do you know what beat it? A screensaver. A screensaver defeated Monday Night Raw. No! Seriously! A burning log on a loop. A burning piece of wood! And Raw was curled up in a ball, fetal position, pacifier in mouth, waiting for the storm to pass. Or in this case, the log to stop burning. A screensaver. A screensaver. That means more people put on a screensaver and just let it go than watched an episodic pro wrestling show from a company that has been around for decades. You would think they're at a point in time right now where this is the best, quote, era in company history. With all the wrestlers they have, the staff, the employees, the type of contracts, the TV deals, the streaming deals. And they are pulling in record low viewership. A screensaver! Are you serious? Are you serious? A screensaver! A screensaver of a piece of wood burning beat Raw! No, stop! Stop now! Comprehend what I am saying.